And we're off and rolling on a Wednesday. Yeah, it's a Power Ranking Wednesday. Along with James Westling, I am Ari Tepkin. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. James looking dapper today, as always. Repping ESPN college basketball, despite doing most games for Peacock. How are you, sir?
It's a split, okay? I'm okay.
All I know is every Big 12 game I watch has you, and you're off doing Sam Houston Pepperdine.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, NBC.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm just simply saying I feel like you should be repping Peacock a little bit more.
Yeah, I will rep them. Speaking of peacocking, you are wearing your sweat jeans today, which is so perfect because I'm in crisis mode.
Okay.
You've been raving about these pants. Okay, this man is not wearing jeans today. He's wearing sweat jeans.
Well, I don't know that anybody would ever refer to khakis as jeans, would they?
Well, they're a khaki-colored jean fabric, I would say. All right? So this guy's wearing these pants that look like jeans or khakis, chinos, whatever you want to call them.
And just for a little bit of reference here, literally every day he's asking if I'm wearing my sweatpants jeans.
So jealous. So jealous.
Like, I have a lot of pants I wear. I like to vary them. I do wear these a decent amount, but every day. Are those your sweatpants? No, these are just regular jeans, regular pants.
More companies need to be making sweat jeans.
Agreed.
Pants that look like jeans or dress pants but feel like sweatpants. Well,
I could lounge in these all day.
This company has nailed it.
32 degrees.
So if you remember right, a couple of weeks ago, you sent me a link.
I did it twice, actually.
2 times.
Didn't even get a response, by the way.
These pants are on sale.
Which, by the way, 32 degrees, everything's always on sale.
Everything's always on sale. So a couple of weeks ago, I made my first purchase. Yeah, I got the sweat jeans. Bought a pullover, too. Had to have the free shipping. So finally, yesterday, they arrive. And I'm pretty excited.
Oh, no.
Like, I'm pumped up, dude. So I go back to the closet. Didn't even tell my wife. Trying these new sweat jeans on, and I'm feeling good. Like I'm feeling good about where this is headed. Okay. So I go strutting down the hallway.
You peacock.
I mean, I'm peacocking. I am peacocking. I am power walking, head high, chest out, shoulders back. I am ready.
Wait till she sees me.
To make my sweat jean debut. I circle around into the kitchen.
What color did you get, by the way?
I got black.
Nice.
No big deal.
Yeah, of course you did.
Pretty sleek, of course. So I circle around the kitchen, and she looks at me, and she's got this weird look on her face, and she said, "Why are you wearing women's pants?" Just a total gut punch.
What? They're not.
They didn't fit right. They look fantastic on you, but she's not wrong. She's not wrong.
What's...
Maybe I got them too short. I don't know. They're pretty ill-fitting.
Well, I think we should be the judge of that. Can you wear them to the show tomorrow?
Well, then I can't return them, right? If I wear them to the show tomorrow. I mean, they're already bagged up. Like, it was just my confidence hit the transfer portal immediately. Like, she's never – I think she got the ick. Like, she had the ick right away. It's like, these jeans – no, I can't put these on ever again. Just the look on her face. Body language says it all. I mean, I go from ultimate confidence, like I'm catalog model ready in these sweat jeans, and she just totally ripped out my soul.
She's like, you look like Ellen DeGeneres.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know what you've got going on. That looks like a very appropriate length. There was a little bit of flare down towards the ankle area, which is extremely important to me.
Okay, because I was wondering, like, what would make
it was the ankle flare.
Yeah.
It was the ankle flare.
That's a dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway. You know, it looked like I'm wearing women's leggings that flare out at the bottom that she's real big about right now. So it was embarrassing. Felt stupid.
How about the pullover?
Pullover was okay. Pullover was okay. She said it made me look really old and stupid and fat. Outside of that, I thought it looked really good. So anyways,
old, stupid, and fat.
It felt like a career.
Wow.
It felt like a career-ending moment, and I'm still trying to recover mentally. I'm not in a good headspace.
Old, stupid, and fat. Imagine your wife tries something on, and you're like, you know what, honey, that shirt makes you look old, stupid, and fat.
Oh yeah. Could you imagine?
No, I think she'd be filing for divorce.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah, right. The double standard.
Yes. I'm big about double.
I bet you looked amazing. I think you should wear the whole
I'm
outfit
a
tomorrow.
big double standard guy. Any fight, I'm circling back. I keep receipts. We live in a single standard household. Okay. So, and I didn't even argue with her. I just
packed it up.
took my L. I felt defeated.
So is this officially you're out on 32 degrees now?
Yeah,
Is that
I think I'm out.
You dipped your toe in and you're like,
think
you know what? I didn't like what I got. I didn't like the whole process.
That's it.
Half my wardrobe is from this place, by the way.
Well, for whatever you're doing, it's working.
I don't know what you're doing.
Everything you're wearing, in fact, your
The
fashion.
big issue is you didn't ask me.
What size I am?
Well, that or I don't know. Like, isn't that what friends do? We text about the clothing you're buying.
Yeah.
I mean, I sent you a link. I've sent you multiple links. I'm
think
going
I
to
need to
continue
get-
to send you links, by the way.
Please do. I need to
Least
get.
you could have done is be like, hey, would this make me look old, fat, and stupid?
I wanted it to be a surprise.
Yeah, would have been
Okay.
a great. Now I'm surprised. I'm disappointed.
Same. I'm rolling in here. I thought, man, tomorrow it's going to be a big Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big Wednesday when Ari sees me in my new digs because his fashion game is soaring. All right, he's Tesla stock. I'm plummeting. I'm Nike right now. Okay, it's not going well. So then, then I'm like, all right, I got to return.
Nike stock plummeting.
Yeah, it's been down for a long time.
Oh,
It's my biggest loss right now, but it's going to bounce back. It'll be fine. Nike's not going anywhere. Nike's going to be fine. But yeah, we're taking some L's.
are we talking like percentages down? What are we
Yeah, it's been down for a while.
like? Are you down
Oh, yeah.
from when you bought it?
Oh yeah, totally.
So you're at a loss right now in Nike stock.
Yeah.
Got it.
I can
Okay.
tell you here in just a second. Come on. Face ID. My Nike is down 34%
Oof.
from when I bought it.
Oof.
Yeah, it's been down for a
Might be
while.
time to sell.
No. We hold, baby. We hold. We do not sell. We hold. We've been down for a while.
Okay.
Good 5 years.
I'm sure it'll be back up soon.
It will. So anyways,
Anywhere.
so I get online. I'm like, all right, now I got to go through the whole process
Yeah.
of returning. I got to go to UPS. That's half the bat. Like, that's a big reason why I never buy clothes online because I don't like the return process.
Totally.
And I'm pretty picky. I'm not going to lie.
It's the biggest reason I don't like to buy anything. Just returning anything sucks.
Yes.
Most of the time I don't, and I think most stores count on people not returning anything.
Oh, totally.
It's like, oh, I have to go back to the store, wait in line, get the receipt out. Some places like, do you have the credit card you bought it on? Like, no, I don't have that wallet with me.
Well, and just even buying stuff online, I've got to go back in. I've got to find my email where I purchased the item. Then I've got to find the return link on the website and bag it up. And do I have enough tape on this thing? Are they going to bag it up for me? Drive to UPS. It's a whole thing.
It's the whole
right?
thing.
So I get
You know,
online.
the UPS store is very far from your house.
Yeah. Miles and miles and miles and miles and miles away. So the best part, though, I get online, final sale. Cannot return. I can't return the pants. I can't return the top. So now I own a pair of women's pants. That's it. In my closet, apparently, is a pair of women's pants.
You may call them up, explain the situation, see if you can do an exchange, maybe find some less flary
What
pants.
was wrong with these pants? Well, they're women's pants, and I ordered men's pants.
Well, my wife told me I look old, fat, and stupid in the shirt, so that's a non-starter.
I might rock the shirt. I'll wear the shirt tomorrow.
I want to see
I can't return it.
how old, fat, and stupid you look.
Okay, I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it tomorrow. It's very cozy.
Could you think of 3 words that would, like, you just don't want to be described as?
Right, like, well, we know what's not happening tonight after that. You look old, fat, and stupid. And take those women's pants off, you clown.
You'll sleep on the couch
She
tonight.
bullies me. I
I can tell. James Westling, Ari Tepkin, this is a Stand On Business Wednesday. Clearly, you are standing on business.
A lot of business.
You're not
lot
standing on
of
any
business.
business.
Tons of business.
You're not a business stander. Where are you on the Olympics?
You know,
You got a good fresh take for me on the Winter Olympics, which gets underway, is underway now officially. So at 5:30 this morning Central Time, men's alpine skiing training runs. 1:05 this afternoon, we get mixed doubles curling. No USA, but I can't wait to get back into USA curling. Nothing better. And then at 1:30, men's single luge training runs.
okay.
What's your...
Yeah, I won't watch any of that, but I will watch like maybe some flag football, a little figure skating, of course.
Flag football?
Yeah, flag football is a sport this year.
In the Winter Olympics?
What is it? I don't know. I'm just on the Olympics website, Olympics.com. Hang on.
Pretty sure that's the Summer
Winter
Olympics.
Games. Oh, okay. Needed to filter a little bit.
In the mountains of Milan, Italy, they're playing flag football.
So, we've got ski mountaineering, snowboard, speed skating here for that. We've got curling, as you noted. That's a big deal. Yeah, I'll watch some a little bit.
We've never been good at curling, the U.S. We always get destroyed. It's really one of my biggest disappointments in life is how bad USA is at curling.
I'm going to guess Norway dominates curling.
Canada.
Believe
it or not.
A little bit colder up there.
I mean, Canada shines the Winter Olympics. It's kind of obnoxious. But, I mean, the most anticipated United States performers, you got Chloe Kim, snowboarding. You've got Ilya Malinin, men's figure skater. Jordan Stoltz, speed skater, men's speed skater. Michaela Schifrin, alpine skiing. Lindsey Vonn, who actually tore her ACL and is still going to be performing. She's like in her 40s.
When did she tear her ACL?
Like recently.
Wow.
Her final downhill race before the Winter Olympics last Friday was airlifted from the course for medical checks, and the 41-year-old tore her ACL, and she's still going to give it a go.
That's incredible.
Literally last Friday.
I mean, that
9 days before the start of the Olympics.
That says a lot about what this event means to the athletes that are participating in it. This is their life, and they will not miss it for the world.
Well, and Lindsey Vonn retired in 2019 because of knee trouble. Mm-hmm. So she unretired. She's 41 years old. She just tore her ACL, and she's back. If that doesn't get you excited for...
Right. Like, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens, to see what she can do.
She got a gold medal in downhill skiing from Vancouver in 2010, and that's what she's going to be competing in here in 2026. I was about to say 2021. What year is it? 2026.
Time is a flat circle.
Clearly, and that's never been more evident by the fact that I'm remodeling my house again because of a leak, which also happened in 2021.
I would love to do play-by-play and announce some Olympic games, some Olympic events.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
In the future, because
now that you're a peacocker, why did you not talk to your bosses there? Be like, hey, if you need, I could go to Milan. I'd be happy to go out there and just do some broadcasting.
I mean, it's all remote, so I'd be in New York, but
yes.
Is it? Yeah, most of it is. For the major events, they'll send a few people out, but most of the announcing is done at their studios, which makes sense. It costs a lot of money to send people over there, but I really like announcing Olympic sports that I don't know a ton about. I didn't play, and lacrosse isn't really an Olympic sport, but...
Do you ski?
No, I've never skied in my life, and it's a bucket list item. I've always wanted to do it. It's just something our family didn't really do, and we went out to Colorado every summer.
Never skied?
Never skied. I've never skied.
Water ski or snow ski?
I've tried water skiing one time. It did not go well.
Got to keep your weight back.
That's the key. Just lack of coordination and balance.
Yeah, clearly it's the women's pads. It's the old fat stupid shirt. I'll never get over that.
Yeah.
I need you to wear it tomorrow just so I can see how old, fat, and stupid you look.
Yeah, I'll give you a spin.
T-Chains, producer T-Chains. You ski? You a skier?
I have never skied in my life. And but I have some friends who want me to go to Vermont to do it.
I was going to say, you grew up in ski country, right?
No, southern New England is not. Northern New England is.
It's all just right there.
Yeah.
I'm with you, James.
Right.
you were like a hip skop and a jump
Dallas
away
to
from
Houston, you can cruise 4 states up there.
That's true.
It'd be 4 states away.
Yeah, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, that's ski country. Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, that's New York City, Boston area.
There's nothing better, honestly. It's that crisp winter air. It's the sights you get to see, the speed you get to go. I love just...
It's a rush, right?
Oh, yeah. And, it's this great contrast of, being completely and utterly miserable while also being, amazingly happy at the same time. Because, there are times you're going to be, on a chairlift, and it's just, this pouring snow, and it's the wind, and you're just wow, I couldn't be colder. It is so freaking cold. But that contrasted with, then you get up there, you're this is amazing. I love this. This is
there's
so cool.
a payoff.
Yeah. But, I skied in Park City last year around this time.
Right. I remember
and,
that.
just so gorgeous, so amazing, so much fun. And then like other times you're like, oh, I'm so cold.
Where is
my face is freezing.
like no amount of ski gear can prevent that?
You could, but once you're up there, you're kind of up there. And you're
Right.
like, well,
Like I didn't dress appropriately.
I'll do better tomorrow.
Where's Park City from Salt Lake and Provo?
It's like 30 minutes from Salt Lake.
Wow.
Yeah, you fly into Salt Lake, go to Park City.
North, south, east, west?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, it exists.
That's the only I've had 2 games in Salt Lake City this year, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't spend more time exploring. Now, one of those trips I wouldn't have been able to, and the second trip I probably could have if I really planned it, more travel friendly. But the problem is it gets dark at like 4 o'clock.
Is that true?
Yeah,
Is that-
it gets like this time of year it gets dark really early.
Interesting. I feel like, aren't we going back up now?
Yeah, we are now. But I mean, I was there 3 weeks ago or so, 4 weeks ago.
James is like, I could go explore this amazingly beautiful city, but it's so dark.
But it's too dark. It's too dark. I can't see the mountains in the dark. And I can see the mountains, but I can't get in the mountains in the dark.
No, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I felt like it was a missed opportunity for me.
Yeah, very much so. So do you want to ski?
Yeah. No, I've always wanted to do it.
How about Lacey? Is she a skier?
No. Nope. But I think she'd try.
Yeah, we took so Angel Fire, New Mexico is actually like a pretty decent drive from here. You can drive up there, and it's, it's not like as crazy as Colorado or Park City or.
I've heard of it.
I went and skied in Switzerland when I was doing study abroad in college.
Like
so
Switzerland.
like the Swiss Alps.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, so like I grew up in Chicago, and Wisconsin has some pretty decent. We'll call them mountains. Maybe hills, mountains.
Wisconsin?
Yeah, you wouldn't think so, right?
No.
Yeah. So it's like not like anything close. I mean, it's Angel Fire, New Mexico is way better than Wisconsin skiing, but still, it's decent. But we used to drive up there all the time, and that was how I got going into skiing. And then, and then you just find opportunities to go to Colorado and Park City and Switzerland and New Mexico.
Man, Park City looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's epic.
There are so many just hidden gems right here in this country.
By the way, there are also some Big 12 performers in the Winter Olympics. You want to take a stab at what schools they went to?
Utah, BYU, Colorado.
You got 2 of the 3.
Okay.
Sorry, 2 of those are correct.
Which 2?
Utah and Colorado.
Utah and Colorado.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that there's somebody from Arizona or Arizona State.
No, sorry, you just 2. I said you got 2 out of 3,
Oh,
but I was wrong.
got it.
Yeah, no, 2. There's 2
Two
of them.
schools. Utah, Colorado.
Yeah, Utah and Colorado.
Checks out, man. Checks out.
So, mostly skiing as you'd expect. So we'll have to keep our eyes and ears open for when they perform.
Do you remember Jeremy Bloom? So Jeremy Bloom was an Olympic skier and played football for the Colorado Buffaloes. He was listed as a receiver, but mostly they used him on punt returns and kick returns. And I remember a big story about how returning punts for him in his mind was like skiing. And he had this huge punt return touchdown against Kansas State that totally swung the game. Little guy, about 5'8", 5'9", but dude, the way he would navigate through special teams units, it's like he was skiing the Rockies. Like that was his thing. Barely got on the field as a receiver. I think he was late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
But he was a stud.
Yeah, he's close to our age. He's 43. He actually was drafted by the Eagles in 2006. Then was a member of the Steelers, but did not play in a regular season game for either team.
Yeah, he was just a return specialist.
5'9", 180 pounds.
Well, and that was also the era of like Dante Hall for the Kansas City Chiefs, where you could make it in the NFL if you were an elite return man. So teams were taking flyers on a guy like Jeremy Bloom.
He actually won the 2003 gold, the Deer Valley World Championship. So Deer Valley is the other mountain and Park City. So there's Park City, and then there's Deer Valley. The amazing thing about Deer Valley is they don't allow snowboarders. It's like a thing between skiers and snowboarders. Like a lot of skiers like look down on snowboarders. And so Deer Valley is the one mountain that I know of that you cannot go if you're a snowboarder. They do not allow snowboarders.
Which one looks down on the other?
Skiers look down on snowboarders.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, not me, but a lot do. It's like they thumb their like,
Did you go snowmobiling in Park City.
No.
That's another thing on my bucket list.
Yeah, that'd be fun, but why would I waste time doing that when I could just ski?
When you could just be on your feet rather than a motorized vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. All right, this is Big 12 today, Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo. A lot to get to today here on this Stand on Business Wheels Off Wednesday. It feels more like a Wheels Off Wednesday than a Stand on Business Wednesday, for being honest.
To be fair, there were no games last night on the men's side. So
That's-
it can be a little wheels off.
You're right. We're also power ranking
Yeah.
our top 5 Big 12 teams. Very curious what your top 3 looks like. This is also National Women in Sports Day, and we'll be power ranking the top 5 female athletes of all time. It's an easy list to comprise. Easy list.
Easy?
Yeah.
Top
Oh, yeah.
5 all time.
All-time women athletes.
Any sport. Any athlete.
Any athlete.
Okay.
Super easy. On the way next, though, let's wrap a bow around the 2025 college football season, make some predictions for 2026. I've got some questions for you that I want you to answer. That's next. With James Westling, I'm Ari Tepkin. This is Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. Here are the top plays from this week's Player of the Week.
Chipped away. Kana goes down to the floor. Loose ball. Krivas push up ahead. Burries throws it down.
Terrific play by the big fella. The foul in the last play, but watch the effort by Bradley first, and then Krivas saves it and kicks it ahead. And Burries last year's because they had the comfort of knowing his kid was going to be good.
Bonsa loses the handle. Karchenkov comes up with it. Kick ahead. Burries puts it in.
They rebound every 2.1 minutes. Think about that.
And Burries knocks one down, and he off to a fast start with 9. Remember, north of 18,000 here tonight at Marriott Center. Burries tries to answer and does.
Wow.
We talked about it at the top. No question, Odin's been their best player, but without a doubt, Jop has the highest ceiling and continues to show tremendous improvement. Oh, how about that backdoor cut?
Embarrassment of riches and a level of depth with Tommy Lloyd's team to bring Awaka and Del Larso off the bench. Incredible.
They put a lot of pressure on the referees to make a call.
Aaron pass by Odom. Burries ahead of the field, lays it up and in. Elite finisher with everything else he's got in his toolbox.
How long? It's about the time and score. And right now it's a one-possession game, so that gives you an opportunity to let him stay a little longer.
Burries spots up in a thing of beauty. Mayusin unable to hit. Here comes Burries. Burries. They're going to get a defensive interference. Count the basket for Burries.
This is Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo and heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. Our Big 12 Game of the Week is a big one, and we are in the heart of the Big 12 basketball schedule because there's so many good games on, especially Saturdays and Mondays, with Big Monday looming. Next Monday, Kansas and Arizona from Allen Fieldhouse. But the game of the week, and I'm assuming that game will also be a game of the week next week. But for Saturday, we've got Houston, BYU. That is a 9:30 Central tip between Houston and BYU from Provo. You can catch that right here on Big 12 Radio. Big 12 Radio brought to you by the Full-Time Fan by Modelo. And the Full-Time Fan never sleeps. So if you are all in on the Winter Olympics like I am, then you're a full-time fan. Grab yourself a 12-pack of Modelo and enjoy the Winter Olympics because once it gets rolling, opening ceremonies on Friday, every night you get different games you can watch. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoy it.
What is the Olympics schedule? Like, is it on 24 hours a day?
So, I mean, it's in Italy, so most of the events are going to occur early. And then I think they repackage them. It's last couple times it's been like in faraway lands where it's like so much of a time difference.
Right.
I wonder what they're going to have live. Or if they're going to have things live.
But I think like on NBC or Peacock or NBC Sports Network, now there's some basketball sprinkled in, but like even overnight, they'll repurpose and replay events that were earlier in the day or whatever time it would be over there in Italy. So, I mean, it's either basketball or Olympics right now on NBC. And, man, I had to read like some Olympic promos. There were some names. I'm looking at that promo sheet, and I'm like, guys, we need to rehearse this 3 or 4 times, and can you give it to me phonetically? There's a lot of K's and R's and H's and Z's in there that I can't pronounce.
Yeah, it's a toughie. It's a tough one. You get those Nordic names, and you're like, huh? James Westling, Ari Tepkin on social at James Westling. I am Ari Tepkin on social at Ari Sports. All right, takeaways from the 2025 season and predictions for 2026. So The Athletic released sort of a chat between their college football writers answering each of these questions, and I figured let's answer these questions ourselves from a Big 12 lean. So this is sort of a reflecting and wrapping a bow around the 2025 season and look ahead to 2026. What is your biggest takeaway, James, from the 2025 college football season?
Yeah, collectively and maybe even in the Big 12, but I would say from a national perspective, number one takeaway is that sleeper teams are real. The underdog can win in this new modern era of college football. Indiana proved that that formula can be successful at the highest level.
Let me ask you something. Is Texas Tech an underdog?
Nationally, I would say yes. Not in the Big 12, certainly. But I still think they have that underdog mantra.
Yeah, I mean, they just won their first Big 12 championship ever.
And remember, they were winning 7, 8, 9 games occasionally. I mean, Joey McGuire had gone 7-5 and 7-5 and 8-6 or 8-5, whatever it was. But I mean, what they did this year, and even what they did last year when they went 8-4, they went 8-4 in the regular season and had not won 8 games since 2009. So it had been 15 years. So yes, absolutely, they're still an underdog just because they haven't been there. And I would even say BYU is an underdog. In fact, there's not a team in the Big 12 that I think nationally you wouldn't classify as an underdog simply because this is the newest power conference in America. This league is still very new, and it's very exciting. And it's why I think people are sleeping on it. But in terms of like teams that have been there, nobody's been there because the league is brand new.
My biggest takeaway for the 2025 season, and obviously I think yours, like, yes, that is by far overwhelmingly the biggest takeaway from the 2025 college football season. I think from a Big 12 perspective, it's the Big 12 continues to be innovative and at the cutting edge. And, like, for instance, you know, the 3-3-5 defense that Iowa State ran and made famous became sort of a standard across the board for defenses. And even now, I mean, look at 2 of the biggest brands in college football hiring Big 12 coaches, and Kyle Whittingham and Matt Campbell. Look at you know, the players from a portal perspective. Josh Hoover goes to Indiana, another big-time brand, obviously winning a national championship. But then also I think from a schematic standpoint too, you know, you can see the influence of the Big 12 schematically across all of college football. And it almost seems like, all right, what's the next pattern or what's the next what's the next flash in a pan schematically that we're going to see in college football? Look at the Big 12. It feels like the Big 12 continues to be ahead of the curve at the cutting edge of innovation from a schematic, from a personnel, from a coaching perspective.
It's a great point, because when you think back to the air raid offenses of the early to late 2000s, and then it's shifted now to you have to have pass rushers and be able to run the football and have a capable quarterback. But the Big 12, the reason why I lean into this underdog role and why I think the league took a huge step forward this past year is that essentially 2 years ago, this league became an expansion conference. It's like an expansion team or franchise in the NFL. This league was brand new. The last 2 years, of the 16 members, 3 years ago, 8, half of the league, they were not in this conference.
Right. You're totally right.
And no other league in America can even come close to saying that. So we're still trying to find out who those alphas are going to be. Well, I would say now 3 years in, that question has been answered. And a big baby step for the Big 12 last year was to have an alpha, and Texas Tech became that team. And they represented the Big 12 with a bye in the college football playoff, and had they had a quarterfinal game, or a first-round game before the quarters, I believe would have won the game, but they didn't have that opportunity because they had a bye, which is also a good thing. Both things can be true. So I would say, based off of what Arizona State did, looking at what Texas Tech did in year 2 of this expansion league, if you will, was a step forward.
What were you most wrong about in 2025?
This was an easy one for me.
Same with me.
BYU. I was most wrong about BYU. We did our own internal Big 12 preseason poll. I didn't have them in the top 10 of this conference because I thought the loss of Jake Retzloff, who had so many game-winning drives and game-winning throws, sure, he was a little bit gunslinger mentality. Statistically, he wasn't upper echelon of the Big 12, but 2 years ago when they won 11 games, he did a lot of things that you just can't teach. He had that it factor. And I did not think a true freshman could come in and in any way stabilize that offense. And Bear Bachmeier did that and some. So for me, it was easy. BYU, I was most wrong about.
Well, can you guess what I was most wrong about in 2025?
Yes, I can. The team that you picked to win it all.
Well, it's funny because I wasn't as down on BYU as you were, but I was
right.
I was probably most wrong about that too. But yeah. Most wrong about Baylor, and I'll say just holistically, this has been a league of parity, and my thought process was, until proven otherwise, I'm going to continue to lean into that. Well, now that I think it's proven otherwise now, I think we can look at this league and say it's pretty obvious that of like Texas Tech, Houston, BYU, Utah, 2 of those 4 are probably going to be playing in the Big 12 championship in 2026.
Yes.
So I think I was obviously most wrong about picking Baylor to win the Big 12 over Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. But I just think if you zoom out, it's more about what we've been talking about, which is this league now has an alpha. This league now has a measuring stick, and it's not going to be as obvious to pick up a surprise team to try to win this conference, because last year I think Tech proved that, you could be the favorite going in and still win this conference, which had not been the case for multiple years across the Big 12.
And I'll be stunned if the 2026 Big 12 championship game is not Texas Tech and BYU, because I think the bottom line is this league has more than one alpha.
Yeah.
It has 2.
Yeah.
BYU's won 11 games back-to-back seasons.
Yeah, 23-4 in the last 2 seasons.
That is enough of a sample size to say that is a team that is dominating a league. Now, the team that is dominating them, though, at the top of the food chain is Texas Tech, who we also believe will be back next season with all the guys they're bringing in. So there's 2 alphas. They are the new Texas and Oklahoma of the Big 12 when it comes to football and what they're doing on the field.
All right, we're doing takeaways from the 25 season, predictions for 26. So which team didn't make the playoff in 25 do you expect big things from in 26?
So I looked at the Big 12, and then I looked at teams outside of the Big 12, because how many teams from 2 years ago, the college football playoff, didn't make this most recent college football playoff? I think it was like half the field, right?
Well, it was both of the teams that played in the national championship game. No, sorry, Indiana obviously did.
Yep.
I was thinking about the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Both teams playing the Super Bowl did not make the playoffs last year.
Right.
Miami did not?
Correct. They lost to Iowa State in the Pop-Tarts Bowl with Cam Ward 2 years ago.
Texas Tech
did not. James Madison wasn't in. Tulane wasn't in.
Alabama wasn't in.
I mean, it was Texas A&M wasn't in.
Ole Miss.
Like, it probably over half the field.
Yeah.
Penn State wasn't in. So who could be those teams that are in that didn't make it this year? I look at BYU as number one. Like, the momentum, the culture, it's real. If they're preseason top 15, even if they lose to Texas Tech, which I believe they don't play each other in the regular season this year. So BYU could run the table in the Big 12. We could have 2 undefeated teams. How exciting is that? I'm not saying they're going to. It's really hard to go undefeated in conference play.
But we could. You're right.
We could. You're going to have 2 teams that are right up there with either an undefeated conference mark or maybe 1 loss playing in the championship, whoever it is. So I say BYU. The other 2 teams, and there's a Big 12 tie to this other one, I look at Michigan. Bryce Underwood back for his sophomore season. And with Jay Hill running that defense and Kyle Whittingham stabilizing that program, they were a top 20 team this year, even with all the behind-the-scenes drama that they had with Jerome Moore. So I expect them to be in from the Big Ten. And then I hate to say it, but I look at Texas. Like, Arch Manning started to click towards the end of the year. He was a different quarterback those last 4 or 5 games. I'll be stunned if Texas isn't in the field this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think BYU is the obvious answer here from a Big 12 lean. Let me give you another team, though, that I think, could potentially be a surprise and playoff team would be Arizona State. I mean, how much credibility does Kenny Dillingham have in his first couple of years, certainly the last 2 in the Big 12? And, look, injuries derailed last year, but they still won 9 games.
Right.
So I think Dillingham found his quarterback. Sam Leavitt came in year 1 and had a lot of success, so I don't think that could hold him back. Their new quarterback. I think if there's a surprise team on the board here and a coach you could bet on, it's Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham. All right, last one, and we'll get to power rankings next. Which 2025 playoff team are you selling in 2026?
I'll go quick because this was a clear-cut number 1.
Let me ask it a different way. Which SEC team that was a playoff team in 25 are you selling in 26?
And there are several to choose from, I believe. But number 1 on my board is Texas A&M. Colin Klein, the offensive coordinator, revolutionized that offense. He's off to K-State. Their late season schedule, when they started playing ranked teams, they lost them all. And their road slate this year, their schedule, they play Arizona State in the non-conference. They get them at home. But then in league play, they play at LSU, at Alabama, at Missouri, at Oklahoma, and they still have that Texas game.
Let me single out another former Big 12 team here with Oklahoma as being the team that made the field in 25 that I expect to fall back down to earth in 26. Another team that benefited from a schedule. I'm not a big believer in John Mateer. They were carried by a defense that had a lot of turnovers late and then got embarrassed in the first round of the playoff. Oklahoma's my team that I'm selling in 2026. All right, that's a look at the takeaways from 25 and predictions for 2026 with James Wesley. I'm Ari Tepkin. It's Big 12 today, Big 12 Radio presented by Modelo. On the way next, it's time to power rank. Each and every Wednesday, we power rank the top 5 teams of Big 12 hoops. Let's do that next. Very curious to see what the top 3 is going to look like from James. That's next. This is Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.
Check out the top plays from Big 12 men's basketball starting 5.
From Provo, John Chomby and Fran Fraschilla. Saunders, catch and shoot. He's got it. Saunders flips it in.
40% from 3 on his career, but where Kevin Young has really helped him the last 2 years is developing more of an overall.
Favored the most growing up, we said Steph Curry. Saunders gets some space and hits. Saunders here. Saunders wandering against Karchenkov. Left hand is good.
Toughness.
We will bounce back.
There you go.
Saunders shoots.
There you go.
Hits.
Yep. Davis is going to shoot it. Watch how Saunders comes right back around. Catch and shoot. Well done.
Nowhere to go for Dibonsa. Good help there by Badunga. Saunders up and in with the left.
Play by Melvin Council Jr. And what a great shot fake by Bryson Tiller.
Saunders slams it in with the left.
But what a fantastic shooting touch Bryson Tiller has. He is going to be a great player.
And Saunders with a chance for a 4-point play. The lead was once 21. This three has it down to 15. Saunders again. Got another one. 27.
He's going to play in the NBA.
Here's Saunders. Another one. His 6th three of the game, and now a career high 33 points.
It's Big 12 Radio, Big 12 Today, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. And each and every Wednesday, we power rank because, remember, it's not good enough to just have things in this world accordingly. You have to power rank them accordingly. It's not good enough to just have things in this world. You have to power rank them accordingly. So that's what we do, right? Because that's what the world asks of us. The world asks us to power rank, and to power rank we do. We have been given, bestowed the power, so let's do it.
To the rankings.
To the rankings.
Number 5.
All right, number 5 for me is Iowa State. The Cyclones, who hit a little bit of a speed bump with losses to Kansas and Cincinnati, but have since bounced back. They just obliterated K-State 95-61. As if Kansas State wasn't embarrassed enough in those lavender uniforms. The score losing by, 100? I can't do math. Is that 100 they lost by? It was embarrassing enough. You don't look too happy about that.
Well, I'm confused. Are we power ranking the top 5 teams in the Big 12 or the top 5 teams in the nation? Because Iowa State's number 4 in KenPom and number 4 in the NCAA net rankings in the country. And you have them number 5 in the Big 12?
Well, Big 12's good. Yeah, I mean, they're top 5 caliber in offensive efficiency, 1.21 points per possession, which is unheard of. If you're over a point, you're pretty good. And then defensive efficiency, they're at 0.91, so they're holding teams under a point per possession. Number 6 there. So, yeah, they're really good. Number 5, Iowa State.
I'm emailing TJ Altzelberger right now.
Well, I mean,
all right,
go ahead. Who do you have? 5?
I've got Texas Tech at number 5.
Oh, Texas Tech.
What Texas Tech just went through this week.
If Iowa State at 4?
With 2 losses was a blessing in disguise, because Texas Tech will learn from this. They did not have Christian Anderson against Kansas. They competed, had a chance to win. They haven't had Luke Bamboye, who is the nation's leading shot blocker at any point this season. Mosley is just getting thrust into the rotation. This team at full strength come March, which they're very close to being at, is going to be a problem because of the multiple shooters, JT Toppin, the way they spread the floor, the way they rebound. The only thing that could hurt them is they're not super aggressive offensively. They don't get to the foul line a ton. They're more a finesse-style team. But I think in today's era, that translates well in the dance. I still love Texas Tech.
Number 4.
Yeah, number 4 for me is Texas Tech, and for obvious reasons, their resume is significantly better than that of Iowa State's, despite having one more loss. And I know they've lost a couple of times here this week, but, I mean, here's Iowa State's Big 12 schedule so far. West Virginia, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Cincinnati, UCF, Oklahoma State, Colorado, K-State. Meanwhile, here's Texas Tech's. Oklahoma State, Houston, Colorado, Utah, BYU, Baylor, Houston, UCF, Kansas. They've already played Houston twice. They played Kansas. They played BYU. Iowa State hasn't played any of them other than Kansas. They both lost to Kansas. Also, Texas Tech beat Duke in the non-conference. And last time I checked, very few teams have beaten Duke. So, again, I get it. Iowa State's really good. So, too, is Texas Tech. The reason I have them at number 4, despite a 16-6 record and 6-3 in the Big 12.
This is where I have Iowa State, and I like the points that you made. Iowa State hasn't played as many Quad 1 games. They've only played 6 all year, but they're 5-1 in those Quad 1 games. Meanwhile, Texas Tech is 5-6 in their Quad 1 games. Iowa State at 20-2. I still think people are undervaluing them. The only knock on Iowa State is their league schedule hasn't been as tough as some of the other teams, but their non-conference schedule was, and they had some huge wins, including a true road win at Purdue by 30. And now in Big 12 play, the teams that aren't in the top half of the conference, they are clubbing. I mean, they're beating them by 30, 40 points. It's insane. This team, I cannot wait to see what they look like against some of the upper echelon teams in the league, but I still think they're legit.
Number 3.
All right, very curious if we're going to have the same top 3 here. This is where I put my Jayhawks, who are coming off a incredible week. When you go back and look about 3 weeks ago in the power rankings, they weren't even in the top 5. Now they've climbed all the way to 3 with wins this week. Impressive ones at that over Texas Tech and BYU, with Arizona looming on Monday. And who does Kansas play on Saturday? Utah. So they get a little bit of a off game here, if you will.
Utah before Arizona.
Utah at home on Saturday before Arizona. But tough stretch for a team that is surging and playing as good a basketball as they played right now all year. They're basically top 10 in defense and surging in offense. According to Bart Torvik's numbers, they're one of the best teams in the country the last 2 weeks. Kansas, for me, number 3.
I also have Kansas at number 3, and I believe last week I still didn't quite have them in my top 5 because the conference is so top-heavy. But
thanks for giving them some bulletin board material, James. I know that Bill Self showed them.
Yeah, my face was in the locker room. KU's won 6 in a row. They're the second hottest team in this conference, not named Arizona. Cannot wait for that matchup. But also, Kansas has the number 3 toughest strength of schedule, non-conference, in the nation. Okay, they had a brutal slate, and they got through it with Peterson in and out of the lineup. So they're top 8 in the country defensively. They're top 5 in the country at protecting the rim. They block shots. The only knock on them would be, do they have enough perimeter shooting? But when Darren Peterson is healthy, it doesn't matter. We're talking about a guy that I would take right now over Cooper Flagg, who's just on another level in the NBA. I love this Kansas team.
By the way, Kansas, you want to know their longest Big 12 win streak last year?
3 or 4?
3. In 2024?
3 or 4?
2.
2. Wow.
So 6 and counting here.
They're back. They're back.
Number 2.
Number 2 for me is Houston. 19-2, 7-1. I don't know how you can make a case for Arizona here at number 2, so I won't. I'm kind of surprised you and I have the same top 3, but I digress. We basically have the same top 5 with the exception of Texas Tech and Iowa State, and I'm clearly right about that one. Look, I mean, this is one of the best defensive teams in the country and continues to be year in and year out under Kelvin Sampson. I think Houston's becoming a pick for many to be a Final Four national championship team, which they've been all year for us. And they've done nothing so far this season to disparage that. Houston, number 2.
Yeah, I've got Houston number 2 as well. They have a really nice non-conference win over Arkansas, who's now 17-5 and ranked 14th in the country. They also have non-conference wins over Auburn and Syracuse and Notre Dame and Florida State. Like, they played a pretty tough non-conference schedule. Then they get into league play. I think splitting with Texas Tech doesn't hurt them in any way. They ran into a buzzsaw in Lubbock, and they took care of business this week. They won at TCU when TCU was backed into a corner and really looking for that marquee win. They controlled that game, led wire to wire. Same thing against Cincinnati. Beat them by 22. Their defense is still elite. Kingston Fleming's, what he's doing, shooting 51% as a guard from the floor. Had that 40-burger against Texas Tech, averaging now 17 points per game on the season, which is like 30 for anybody else because Houston has some of the fewest offensive possessions in the country.
Number 1.
Number 1 is Arizona, 22-0. We've already talked about this, but the longest winning streak to start a season in the history of the Big 12 is 22-0. When the 96-97 Kansas team went to 22-0 before losing to Missouri. Of course, they bowed out in the tournament with, I believe, a team that had Jacques Vaughn and Paul Pierce and Rafe LaFrentz, certainly one of the best Kansas teams Roy Williams ever had. And Arizona beat them in the Elite Eight that year. Huge upset win.
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16, thank you. So, Arizona right now has matched that. And if they win on Saturday, they will exceed that before a Monday game against Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse at 23-0. But, I mean, look, very few concerns about this team. It seems like they've got everything that you need in order to win a national championship. This is Tommy Lloyd's best team, and we'll see if this postseason proves it out.
Yeah, they're the best team in America at 22-0. And they're number 1 now in KenPom. They're still number 2 in the NCAA net rankings, which makes no sense to me because Duke has a loss.
Right.
Duke is number 1. And I know Duke's won 9 Quad 1 games. They're 9-1 in Quad 1. Well, Arizona's 9-0. They've just played 1 fewer game in Quad 1. I think the only reason would be that Arizona's strength of schedule is currently 37th in the country, and Duke's is currently 18th. But, like, Arizona's just dominating teams. KenPom has this luck factor, which is basically, like, are you playing above your wins and losses mark? And Arizona's 93rd in the country, which means Arizona's a very well-earned 22-0. They haven't been lucky at any point this season. Meanwhile, Duke is top 50 in the luck rating, so they could have an L or more on their loss than they already do.
All right, there you go. There's our top 5 in the Big 12 this week. We always power rank something random, and today, being National Women in Sports Day, we decided let's take a stab at power ranking the top 5 greatest female athletes of all time. For this one, we'll bring in our producer, Taman Turner, T-Chains.
Number 5.
Who you got, Taman?
My 5 is Cheryl Miller. I feel like there's no women's basketball the way it is today without Cheryl Miller. Go.
Great call. Yeah, love that. My number 5 will be Jackie Joyner-Kersee, track and field athlete. She was one of the biggest female athletes when I was growing up, and that's what I always remember about her. Heptathlon world record, still stands as a world record. Elite long jump, gold level dominance too. So I think just the multi-event excellence and dominance, for me, that's going to be a huge part of my list is just dominance in sport. Jackie Joyner-Kersee, number 5.
Yeah, I love it. I've got Mia Hamm at number 5, 2-time World Cup champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, really globalized women's soccer in the United States, and the sport was exploding during her era, and I think she is the person that spearheaded All of that. I'm not sure that women's soccer is as popular in the United States as it is today with new franchises and new leagues and new stadiums if it wasn't for what Mia Hamm did.
All right, number 4. Number 4, I have Michelle Kwan, the figure skater who dominated the 2000 Olympics, dominated 2004. I think she is the modern-day example of what women look to in figure skating, and I give her a lot of props.
Yeah, for number 4, for me, I went with the greatest women's basketball player ever, Diana Taurasi, all-time WNBA leading scorer, 6-time Olympic gold medalist, 3-time WNBA champion, dominated in college. Basically, any time she's been playing, she's dominated. Whether it was in college at UConn, whether it was in the pros at Phoenix Mercury or for the Olympics, she is the greatest women's basketball player of all time. Diana Taurasi, number 4.
So number 4 for me, I also have a women's basketball player, and neither of the two that you mentioned. There have been so many greats in that sport, and this is kind of a personal favorite. I go Lisa Leslie, who is a 3-time MVP, and the years that she didn't win MVP, she was 2nd or 3rd. She was a 2-time WNBA champ, 4-time Olympic gold medalist, also was the first woman to ever dunk in a WNBA game, and she was kind of like the face early on of women's pro basketball back in the 90s. I go Lisa Leslie.
Number 3, I have Simone Biles. She is the GOAT. She is the gymnast. She is the queen. I give her all the props in the world. Number 3 for me, Simone Biles.
Yeah, Simone Biles as well for me at number 3. The top 3 for me is pretty obvious, but yeah, I mean, she is the GOAT and one of the greatest female athletes of all time, regardless of sport. 30 medals. 23 gold medals. She's ridiculous.
It's wild.
Hopefully she gives it another go at the Summer Olympics in LA.
Number 2, I have...
No, hold on. James.
Whoa, T-Chains.
I jumped ahead of myself.
All right, number 3 is where I have your Jackie Joyner Kersey.
Yeah.
I love that pick. Like, whether you know a lot about track and field or not, you knew that name. 6 Olympic medals, world records that still hold today, even with all the advancements in training and the footwear that these athletes wear. For her to still hold those records says a lot about her skill.
All right, number 2 for me, I have Serena Williams, the greatest tennis player of all time, arguably the greatest women athlete of all time. Love Serena. Give her all the props in the world.
Number 2 for me is Babe Didrikson, track and field and golf athlete. Talk about multiple sports. 2 golds, silver in track and field in the 1932 Olympics. Later won 10 LPGA major championships. I mean, think about that. She won gold medals in the Olympics and then went and won 10 LPGA championships in golf. I mean, this is a time where women were not in sports. So you think about all the criticism she dealt with, all of the naysayers. I mean, she is a pioneer in women's sports and always has to be brought up on these lists because of the influence that she had in terms of ushering in dominance in women's sports. Babe Didrikson, number 2 for me.
This is where I've got Serena Williams, the 23 Grand Slam singles titles. What was the movie where Will Smith is playing the Williams sisters' dad?
King Richard.
Phenomenal movie. I didn't know if I'd be that into it. Like, I'm not a huge tennis fan as just a sports fan, but it was so good, and it really kind of magnified her journey.
Number 1, Ari said this earlier. I have Diana Taurasi. I'm a little biased there, but Kobe gave her the name White Mamba for a reason. Diana Taurasi for me is my number 1, my GOAT.
Number 1 is Serena Williams, arguably the greatest athlete, regardless male or female, of any sport ever. I mean, just an insanely dominant run. 23 Grand Slam single titles, that's a record. Plus multiple Serena Slam runs, long stretches at or near number 1. And the greatest thing she ever did was have a baby, then come back and win another Grand Slam. She's ridiculous. Serena Williams, the GOAT, number 1.
This is where I've got your number 3, guys, Simone Biles, and just a huge fan of not just how she's revolutionized gymnastics, but also her transparency when it comes to what she's been through with some of her mental health struggles. Remember the 2021 Tokyo Olympics? She actually withdrew because of, they call it the twisties, a mental block that she was going through. The fact that she's really fully embraced that and being able to overcome that, I think she's a tremendous role model for young gymnasts all over the country.
That's it, guys.
All right, there's our top 5 female athletes of all time. Along with James Wesley, I'm Ari Temkin. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo. On the way next, let's get a brief overview of the games tonight on the hardwood. And any upset opportunities here, do you see? We'll get into that next with James Amari. It's Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.
Emphasis on guarding the three-point line, but you got to wonder, Iowa State shooting close to 70%, close to 12 minutes into this game. Audie Crooks just...
Here is Fritz. She's got 8. Iowa State on a 6-0 run over the last 30 seconds. Collins tries to stop it and does.
The Cyclones' way. 10-0 run over the last minute 45.
Well, Sydney Harris, starter, career Central Michigan, spent some time at TCU. Collins answers with the 3. She's got 14 in the ball game. Who they almost had to lock her out of the practice gym at times. Love outside, no. Collins, offensive rebound and the putback.
And now they're just as good, if not better in a lot of ways this season, and you got to give a lot of credit to what Mark Campbell has done. The reason they haven't been able to get so many stops is because of the pressure Olivia Miles puts on the rim.
3 made by Snetta Collins. A quick answer from Taylor Bigby from TCU.
Yeah, just 3 assists for Olivia Miles here today. 48 assists away from breaking TCU's single season assist record.
Spin move by Collins.
Open, drag to the lane. It was because Maddie Shear was forcing her left. Collins.
That was the 4th foul for Maddie Shear.
What a move. Snetta Collins all over in the paint.
It looks like Snetta Collins might have gotten away with a little bit of a push-off. You've got elite shooters from TCU on the perimeter. Ball security down the stretch of this game with 30 seconds left is going to be huge. Snetta Collins
taking the 3-point lead.
How about it? Just coming on.
Westling, I'm Ari Tepkin. Big 12 Radio is presented by Modelo. You can hear us on TuneIn and watch us on Big 12 Studios, which you can find out where to watch us via big12studios.com, YouTube, Roku, Tubi, Amazon Prime Video, many other platforms as well. Check out big12studios.com to find out where you can watch us. And we always like to check in on the comments on the YouTube channel if you want to get involved with our show, as it's interactive. All right, there was no Big 12 basketball last night, which means we've got 4 games tonight on the slate. None of them really stand out, maybe aside from BYU, Oklahoma State, but there's UCF visiting Houston. UCF coming off that win over Texas Tech is a 14.5-point underdog in Houston. Colorado, Baylor, BYU, Oklahoma State. BYU is 6.5-point favorite in that one on the road, and that's the late game tonight. So is Arizona State and Utah, a game that's pretty meh in the Big 12 hierarchy. James, any opportunities here for upsets? Could UCF beat Houston, and then Oklahoma State trying to get its first quad one win hosting BYU tonight?
I think Oklahoma State can beat BYU in Stillwater. That's probably the game I would circle for best chance of an upset. But when I look at the slate, Houston and UCF, which is the first game tonight, that's the one where if UCF somehow won that game, it'd probably be really good for the league. Like, that would vault them into the top 25, probably make them a top 6 or 7 seed in the NCAA tournament, but I just don't see it. Like, Houston's formula makes them so dangerous in March. And we're deep enough now into the Big 12 slate that when I look at stats and break these teams down analytically, I eliminate what they did in the non-conference, because your team in November and even early December is very different than it is in the month of February. Everybody's clicking now in the Big 12. Even the teams at the bottom of the league. Oklahoma State's getting better. Utah's getting better. Colorado's had some nice wins as of late. Baylor is finally starting to pick it up. But I look at Houston, and I don't see a lot of flaws with this team. They're the best free throw shooting team in the league at 81% as a team. They lead the league in scoring defense. They're second in the league in offensive rebounds. Their only maybe knock is that from a percentage standpoint, they're 9th in the Big 12 in three-point field goal percentage. Last year they led the league, but they're still making the third most threes per game. So they're shooting a ton of threes, and because of the volume, they're still knocking down 9 or 10 a game. And with what Fleming's is doing, I just don't see a path for UCF to go into the Fertitta Center and get a win.
All right, here's what Kelvin Sampson said about UCF, and more specifically about Themis Folks.
I was wondering, why is UCF so good? What is it about them? I knew Kugel. You know, he was a kid that when he went in the portal last year, he was one of the best guards in the nation. When I saw UCF got him, I said, well, Johnny's got him a star. That kid's really good. But then as we were starting to prepare, I peeped at some of their film Saturday night for the first time. And that was the first time I really watched Folks. And I can see why. He's a winner. He controls things. He's got confidence. He's in control. He gets them organized. He gets the ball to the right people. He needs a scoring score. Kid had, what did he have against Arizona? 30, right?
Yeah, 30. Yep.
Not everybody can do that, you know. But once I saw him, I saw why they were good. He starts, when you got a good point guard, you can get things organized behind them. When you don't have that position, sometimes those other guys' greatest strengths are hidden because they don't have anybody to bring them out. That's what a great point guard will do. And Folks has been awesome with that.
You know, Folks, James, has been a very well-traveled basketball player. He didn't just come out of nowhere here. I mean, he started South Carolina State, then went to the community college route, then Louisiana Lafayette, and then last year was at Milwaukee. So this is a guy that's done quite the college tour. But last year at UW Milwaukee led the Horizon League in assists, was second team all Horizon League, and this year he's showing, you know, his strength and ability. I think the greatest thing you could say about this UCF team and what Johnny Dawkins did was get experienced players in the portal. You know, he's gone through stretches where he had younger players that he's trying to mold, and now I think he figured out, like, I need older players, and Themis Folks is at the front of the class in that.
Yeah, he's averaging 14 points per game. He's got 151 assists. The biggest uptick in his game from his previous stop at UW Milwaukee is his three-point shooting. He doesn't take a lot of threes, and he's only made 15 on the year. But percentage-wise, he shoots 46% from downtown. Last year was his best career three-point shooting season, and he shot 25% from three. Like, this guy was a really bad three-point shooter. This year, he's developed his shot enough where teams can't just sag off of him, and it's opened up driving lanes, and it's allowed him to do what he does best, and that's get to the rim, get to the foul line, and then distribute the basketball. A big reason why UCF has had this turnaround is him, and give credit to Dawkins for finding him in the portal. He's kind of a guy that I put in the same camp of Melvin Council Jr., guys that were productive players, but not necessarily like All-American players at their previous stops that Bill Self and Johnny Dawkins knew would be the perfect fit to run their show, and A+ on both.
Great point. UCF is kind of the cut line right now in the Big 12, in terms of what the tournament projections are. Arizona, Houston, Kansas, Iowa State, Texas Tech, BYU, and UCF. Feels like that's kind of where it's at right now. So do they have to win this game? No. I mean, but with wins at home against Texas Tech and Kansas, I think they're certainly the driver's seat. But a win here would go a long way in helping them not just get into the tournament, but solidify a spot. One of the games that is important tonight for tournament is Oklahoma State BYU. Huge. It's been well documented. Oklahoma State does not have a quad one win yet. How do you see this game going?
So this is a game where I could see it going either way. Both teams struggle defensively. Both teams want to play up and down. Both teams are top 50 in the country in tempo, and Oklahoma State's top 15. This is going to be a track meet. BYU defensively has given up like 81 points per game in league play. Oklahoma State like 83. So this is a game that's going to be played in the upper 80s or 90s. Where I think Oklahoma State might have the advantage is Steve Lutz is a huge believer in depth and playing 9-10 guys on a consistent basis, and he tracks minutes played over the course of a season. So you've got the deepest team in the Big 12 in Oklahoma State versus the thinnest team in BYU, who really relies on their big three. Can Oklahoma State, over the course of a 40-minute game, put enough pressure on BYU to wear them down and put them in a position where in the final 4 to 5 minutes of the game, BYU has lost their legs and Oklahoma State can steal a win? That is the path for the Cowboys.
This would be kind of a signature win for both teams. It would not be a quad one win for BYU, as Oklahoma State's 67th in the net. It's top 50, right, on the road? Or top 75?
I think it's top 75.
On the road.
In true road games.
Okay, so this would be a quad one for BYU then. Here's what Kevin Young said about not having a quote-unquote signature win for BYU yet.
Not worried. I mean, that's the beauty, the blessing and the curse of being in this league. It feels like every night, for the most part, is a night where you have an opportunity to get a big win. And look, we just try to focus on what's in front of us. That's kind of been my message to the guys ever since I've gotten here. But we're a battle-tested group. We're a couple shots away, from being able to have some of those. And for me, that just gets more fire in the belly to get it right.
BYU is 15th in the net and 15th in KenPom, which is sort of amazing. They are 10th in KenPom offense, but 32nd in KenPom defense. That continues to be an issue. It was an issue for BYU last year. Here's what Kevin Young said about the defense so far.
Yeah, it hasn't been good enough. I mean, that's something. I came in over the weekend and yesterday and watched every single one of our defensive possessions from Big 12 play and have a pretty good feel for, things that we need to adjust. I think, every team is different. Every team that you coach is different, and I think that's a challenge, I think, for all college coaches with how much the rosters change. And so what worked last year may not work with this year's team. I think, we're trying to simplify, take a less is more approach, allow our guys to maybe make a little bit more plays, tilting on aggression and less on so scheme heavy. I think that's something that probably has put our group in mud a little bit. So that's an area we're trying to focus on. And then you also have to get, and I wouldn't say the quality of the opponent. every team you play is good. So I think where it's been, there's like in the NBA, and this is no disrespect to any team or player that we've played, but in the NBA there's a website called Second Spectrum that's like the analytic website on steroids, and there's like a shot luck metric in there. And we would be on the very wrong end of that spectrum right now. I feel like every guy who is not a great shooter or having a struggle has really teed off on us. So that's something that we're adjusting. Maybe we're giving guys the ball has been finding the right people in a lot of instances, but we've got to do a better job of still getting to contest there and so forth. So I think there's a lot that goes into it, but the bottom line is our defense has been poor the last several games, and those are kind of the reasons as to why we're trying to fix them.
So are guys just going off that BYU isn't expecting to shoot the ball as well, or is BYU giving them too much room to operate, and that's why they're making those shots? I think it could be a little bit of both, and it sounds like Kevin Young's going to clamp down in this approach of we're going to put an extra emphasis on the stars and make the other guys beat us. I think that's going to look a little bit different for BYU now defensively. Matchup-wise, this is a tremendous matchup for BYU because Oklahoma State is a smaller, peskier team.
Yeah.
Those are the type of teams that BYU thrives against. There's not a player on the floor that's going to be able to guard A.J. DeBonsa. He could be going off for another 30 or 40-point game tonight. BYU's also second in the Big 12 in rebounding margin, and Oklahoma State is 13th in league play. They struggle on the glass, so there could be putback opportunities for BYU. That's the biggest key for me in this game is can Oklahoma State hit the glass and put enough pressure on BYU defensively to slow them down. Last year on paper it was a very similar spot in Stillwater where it looked like, hey, maybe that's one Oklahoma State can steal. And BYU went into Stillwater and rolled them on their home floor. The minutes thing was a non-factor. So this one's intriguing tonight for a lot of reasons.
That's James Westling. I am Ari Tepkin. Taking a look at tonight's slate of Big 12 hoops. Let's talk about it with Eric Bailey, our friend from the Tulsa World, about this two-game stretch here for Oklahoma State. Pretty impactful if they're trying to get a quad one win. Certainly two opportunities here with BYU tonight at home and then Arizona on Saturday. Eric Bailey is next. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.
Check out the top plays from the Big 12 women's basketball starting five.
Off to good starts here at home, and we'll see if they can do that tonight. BYU an open look from three early on. They make a bunch of them, 8.1 per game. And at that time, the Cowgirls get an early triple, though.
Obviously, Gibb puts a lot of pressure on you, but they have really good ball movement, and they drive to force help.
Gray responds with a triple on the other end, her second of the night.
Wasn't needed right there on her.
And Micah Gray set a single-season three-point record for Oklahoma State last year, left wide. It falls to a Cott, who's double-teamed under the basket. Back to Gray in the corner for the lead. Yes! Screen from Cott. Back to Gray. Lets it fly. She buries another. 14-0 run for the Cowgirls.
Follow Micah Gray in her career. I mean, she gets one or two.
Cowgirls with a much smaller lineup here. Staley Hurd, the tallest player in the game. That is number 6 for Michael Gray.
Now watch Wooten right here. Obviously a playmaker, good vision, great handles. Simple right there. I mean, you have to extend out on Gray. Has a lot.
After 20 in the first alone, there's a turnover. Hurd leaves it off. Gray with the easy two.
She is very versatile for the Cowgirls. Can really play 1 through 5. And Cowgirls defense forcing the turnover. Micah Gray, the deep three.
Yeah, good defense there. Arizona did not do a good job on the handoff, but look at this kick, and Micah Gray say, hey, just give it to me.
Along with James Westling, I'm Ari Tepkin. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios, and we're excited to be joined right now by our friend Eric Bailey from the Tulsa World, talking about this two-game stretch here for Oklahoma State in terms of the hardwood. And Oklahoma State's still looking for that signature quad one win. They could get it tonight, hosting a BYU team here. Eric, give us your thoughts on this game and what's maybe held Oklahoma State back from punching up.
Yeah, it's one of those games they really need to have a good week, and they play BYU tonight, and they go to Arizona on Saturday, which seems like a really tough game, but it's an opportunity week for the Cowboys. They really need to really improve their resume. You're looking for that quad one win, like you said. They're 0-4 in quad one matchups this year. In the net right now, I think they're upper 60s, I think 68. So it's just one of those things where they just need to figure out how to get some big wins because the season's running out on them. And playing at home, of course, always helps. But this is a really good BYU team that's going to be hungry after their last two games.
Yeah, when you look at Oklahoma State, they've got an international player, big number 72, I'll call him, who's played in 9 games this year. Robert Jennings was a starter for them last year. He's only played in 3. Like, where's Oklahoma State at health-wise? Because I know Steve Lutz wants to play a ton of dudes.
Health-wise, they're not too bad. You're mentioning Lefteris Mantzoukas. He was a freshman, a pro player freshman, came in from Greece, and we haven't really seen him all year. We saw him at the beginning of the year, and then he's just been out. And we've been asking Steve Lutz, and just said it's just a health issue that they're hoping that they could see if they can get him on the court or not, and it just hasn't happened. So I really curious about what happens with him, because he would have helped this team a lot. And of course, Robert Jennings, when you talk about him, you're just looking at a senior experience player that just, a guy who played at Texas Tech, came to OSU, a lot of experience, and he would have helped too. But health-wise, they're not too bad. They knock on wood, I'm sure Steve Lutz is, but they're not too bad health-wise. They just haven't been able to put everything together.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, overall read on this team, Eric, where do they need to improve the most, do you think?
Defensively, that's their biggest issue. They just have a hard time getting stops, and they can score the basketball really, really well. They have a ton of scoring ability. It's just they can't stop people at key moments. And we saw Baylor come in and get 9 3-pointers in the first half against them. We've seen teams light them up from the 3-point range, and they're just having a hard time just staying focused on defense. Now they're getting better, like a lot of teams, toward the end of the season, you're getting better, you're improving, but that's been their Achilles heel, because scoring wise, they don't have an issue, but it's just getting stops on defense. That's been so hard for them, and it's cost them some games, some close games as well.
Why are they struggling to get the stops defensively? Are they undersized? Is it communication breakdowns? What would you hang your hat on there?
Boy, I think Steve Lutz would pay anyone to have that answer. Coach Lutz has came into press conferences, and, he just says he tries everything. They have competitive practices. They do film work. They do everything they can to figure out how they're going to, get better defensively. And we saw this early in the year, though. We saw this in non-conference play. And even when they were 10-1, we could tell that, defensively, that was still the topic. And for whatever reason, they're just having troubles just stopping the ball, letting teams, the 3-pointers are the thing. I mean, ball rotation, there's so much that goes into what they're just not able to defend defensively. And it's like I said, it's really hurt them in some close games.
Yeah.
And I really think if they could put this together, they would be a really good basketball team. They'd be a tournament team if they had the defensive side of things knocked down.
Talking with Eric Bailey here of the Tulsa World. What do you think? I mean, obviously winning quad one games is huge. Like, what in your mind, if they lose both these games, in this week with tonight and then Saturday, is it over? Give me kind of your path here for Oklahoma State beyond, winning tonight or winning on Saturday.
Yeah, if you lose two, you're 3-7 in the Big 12 with 8 to go, and your overall record's 15-8. You're 3-7. Let's just say they lose two. That's what happens. And then again, the quad one games, you got to take advantage of the opportunities. And in the schedule, of course, we've talked about the Big 12 all year. I'm sure you guys have too. It's just how tough this league is.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the remaining schedule, you still got to play Kansas for their one visit this year. You still have to play Houston. It's such a tough schedule. You got to just really seize your opportunities, and it's going to be tough in March. If you're an OSU fan, especially if you're Steve Lutz, and you look back at some of these games and just wonder, what if we got this one? What if we got that one?
Great point.
There's so many what if games, and that's the hard part.
Eric, where do you see or Oklahoma State, I should say, having advantages tonight against BYU?
I think the key is, of course, it's obvious, it's home court. I think that's the biggest thing. Steve Lutz has really, really got this place playing well at home. He hasn't lost consecutive home games since he's been at OSU too. I mean, so that's something
Wow.
they lost to Iowa State, and they played Iowa State a couple weeks ago. It's just one of those things where I think home's going to play so much a big factor. That's the key. Now OSU's going to have to really play good defense. I mean, that's funny. We talked a long time about OSU's defense, but they're going to have to play good defense and get stops and really, really make BYU work for points. I mean, this is a really, really good team. How do you say AJ's last name?
DeBonsa.
BYU, the freshman. Yeah, I mean, look at that guy. What he's averaging, 23.3 points a game. It's crazy how much how good this BYU team is. And again, I really think it's going to be one of those things where they're going to be hungry. I mean, they're coming off two tough losses, and they're going to want to right the ship. So you're going to get a hungry, focused BYU team in Stillwater tonight.
I don't know if you have any more basketball questions. I wanted to ask about football.
That's good.
Eric, it's interesting because I was thinking recently, we haven't really heard much from Eric Morris, and that's not a coincidence. He hasn't spoken publicly since taking over as the head coach of Oklahoma State, but that's going to happen today.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where we wondered after all when the portal window closed, we wondered if we were going to get an opportunity to kind of go over the portal, because they added over 50 players through the portal, but he was waiting until today. Today's of course signing day, and they've already got I think 3 or 4 signees today alone, so they're still adding to the roster as we speak right now. So it's one of those things where he's going to look back and look and see what he has. He wanted to talk about the whole signing class, not just the portal players. And I'm really curious to see what it was like. I mean, what a whirlwind it's been over these last 6 weeks. How tough has it been trying to get everything together and not only look for players, but make sure you got your staff intact. And at Oklahoma State, they've really taken this down to the studs. They let everybody go, and this is Eric Morris's program from day one, because everyone in that office on that they're new. Everyone's new over there. So really curious to see how everything's coming together. Expectations, of course. This is you enter spring ball, and this is pretty much your team. This is what you're going to have next fall. So. You got to be in love with it if you're a coach, because this is the team you're with. So I'm kind of curious how he feels, and if he feels like he has the right parts, or enough parts, I should say, to make this thing successful.
Is he having a spring game? What does spring practice look like? And I remember last year Oklahoma State got really creative, over the summer with some concert series and things like that. Has he made any comments about what the schedule is going to look like?
That's a great question, because then that's a question we're going to ask today.
Okay.
It's one of those things where last year Oklahoma State went nuts with the orange-white game, and it was cold. Weather really impacted the attendance for that game, but it was really, really neat how much they blew it up. And it was funny, if I remember correctly, Mike Gundy, just at a media availability, just said, hey, we're going to have an orange-white game, and the administration didn't even know. He just kind of mentioned it, and they said, okay, I guess we're having a game. But it was really, really well received by the fans. And Eric Morris at North Texas last year, he did not have a spring game. They had an open practice in the middle of the spring football session where he invited fans to come out and watch, but they didn't have a game. Now, how much are things going to change for Eric Morris? And the key is, does he have enough players to really have a true spring game? Because again, your depth on both offensive and defensive lines, the last thing you would want is to get someone hurt in a spring game when your depth is pretty low. So I'm really curious what Oklahoma State's going to do moving forward this spring with the game.
Eric, how optimistic are you about Oklahoma State this year? It feels like nationally there's a lot of love for Eric Morris and what he's doing in the portal. How optimistic are you?
I think they can make a bowl game. I really do. I think the schedule is nice. The schedule that came out is they have some wins. If they play well, of course. You never guarantee a win, especially after the last 2 seasons. But if they play well, the schedule really is kind this year with what they have. And I really think they can get back to a bowl game. And I think that's the most important first step for this program is, just to learn to win again. The one thing that's been impressive to me is the fan base hasn't left. The fan base has stayed strong with them. I mean, it's not just someone who just said, oh, well, you're not winning, I'm not coming to games. They've been in the stands. And I think we talk about BYU being hungry for a win. Oklahoma State football fans are just hungry just to get a step back toward what they've always been. So I think that if Eric Morris can get this team to a bowl game, at the very least, I think that would be huge. That would meet my expectation. But yeah, there's potential there if they can put everything together to have a really nice season. Again, though, this is a brand new team. Everybody on this roster is new. You got to get them to play together. You got to stay healthy. It's going to be tough in year one to really set the tone and get what you want going.
Eric Bailey, Tulsa World, you're the best, buddy. Appreciate you. Take care.
All right, guys. You guys have a good weekend, okay?
You too, bud. Thank you so much. Always great to catch up and chop up with Eric Bailey, Oklahoma State, giving us his thoughts on the Oklahoma State BYU game tonight. Huge one for Oklahoma State. Still looking for that first quad one win. And then Saturday at Arizona. Good luck there for Oklahoma State. On the way next, we're going to talk with a legend on National Women in Sports Day, Kat Osterman, ESPN analyst and GM of the Texas Volts. Helps to preview the Big 12 softball season, which is now underway. We'll get to that next with Kat Osterman. It's Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. Here are the top plays from this week's Freshman of the Week.
Because of the height advantage of TCU, so important that Kansas sets solid screens.
Nichols on the drive, drops it down to Davis for her first 2. Nichols.
At this pace, they may put up 30.
11 makes in conference play, 9 overall.
Thank you.
On the drive, counted and won a chance. Went for 12 on 4 of 7 shooting for Kansas last time out. That was a win against Kansas State. That was spiked off the face of Sheppy. Kansas back the other way. And great response by the Jayhawks.
And beyond just the turnovers forced, TCU contested Kansas on 8 of their 11 field goal attempts. Again, they're putting a lot of pressure on this Kansas offense.
Told you that Davis wouldn't quit. TCU averaging 15 turns a game. There's Davis inside for 2 more. TCU cooling off from beyond the arc. They've missed their last 3 three-point attempts after going 6 for their first 6. Breakdown defensively for TCU.
That was a good read by Miles. Copeland went under that on-ball screen, so she just stopped and popped.
Davis, we're learning you can't stop her one-on-one. Muscles it up and one.
It's all the time Miles needed.
And then 1 of 5 shooting. Again, she's got 9 20-plus ball games, 4-time reigning Big 12 Freshman of the Week, and muscles one home here.
Jalea Davis on that inbounds play just takes the opportunity against Betson, up and under move, gets her defender up in the air.
Evans off the screen. Now on the bounce, gets Davis going down the lane, falling to the deck was Gooden, and it's going to be a blocking foul and one. Gooden fell early. You can see her kind of trying to get over there, but didn't quite get there in time.
Big 12 Radio. This is Big 12 Today. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. Along with James Westling, I am Ari Temkin. We are presented by Modelo, and we are so excited to be joined right now by one of the all-time greats, Kat Osterman. Today is National Women in Sports Day, and one of the great female athletes to ever play in the Big 12 is Kat Osterman. Kat, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. Doing well. Can't complain.
I want to obviously preview the upcoming softball season, which is about to be underway here. But let's start first with the Athletes Unlimited Softball League, AUSL. You are the GM of the Texas Volts. How is that going? Obviously, we become so much more ingrained in watching college softball, with the Big 12 being where it is and how much more popular it is. So how has the AUSL sort of leveraged some of that popularity and growing popularity?
Yeah, well, AUSL cashed in originally when Athletes Unlimited launched their kind of fantasy model in real life during COVID. And so because there wasn't much on during COVID, we got a lot of ESPN air. So a lot of fans took to Athletes Unlimited, started following it. And then, as athletes and fans alike both kind of asked for the traditional model, they opened their mind to that. And we are in year 2 of the traditional model. We had 4 teams last year. We expanded to 6 this year. And this year, also, everyone else also got a city home, where last year we kind of toured to gain popularity and test markets out. So they do a great job of collaborating with colleges. They do a great job social media wise. I think one of the best leagues to use the social media platforms and the way they do to continue to engage fans even in our off season. I mean, some of our off season posts get more hits than what happens in season. So they've just done a good job of being innovative to start with, and then kind of falling into what the traditional model is. And I think that's helped a lot. And plus our athletes are all household names now, with being able to be streamed everywhere, every game, unlike when I played. So it's a lot of things to tap into, but AUSL's done a great job, and I'm super excited to bring the Volts to Texas and have a team here at home.
Yeah, and these teams are in some tremendous markets scattered across the country. Kat, earlier on the program, we power ranked our top 5 female athletes of all time. You were so dominant in your sport. I'm curious, who were some of the athletes that you looked up to and idolized when you were younger?
Yeah, so I actually grew up, my parents are from Illinois, and my dad's from Southern Illinois, where there was really no football team, so we grew up as basketball players. So when the WNBA launched and I was able to watch them, I watched, Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, loved being able to watch female athletes just grind and dominate. So those were 2 I watched a lot. I am a Houston girl, so we watched the Astros. Not that I wanted to be Craig Biggio, because obviously I was taller, I was a pitcher, and I'm not playing in the field. But, it was just fun to watch athletes. I think softball specific, I did get introduced to Michelle Smith, who was a left-handed pitcher for the national team at a young age. And so she kind of, sport specific, was who I really tried to model myself after.
Speaking of Southern Illinois, Jerry Glasgow, the Texas Tech coach who comes from there in that area, I mean, he really created such a huge firestorm with Texas Tech this past year. I mean, when the Big 12 lost Texas at OU, those were 2 huge brands in the sport of softball. And Oklahoma State's been there. Baylor's had some good teams, but beyond that, the Big 12 lost some strength. And Jerry Glasgow gets hired by Texas Tech, and they spend money in the portal, and immediately they're a dominant force. They lose to Texas in the national championship. Just kind of give us your thoughts here with Tech now heading into another year with Jerry Glasgow and the success of last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a Tech fan, I have 2 brothers that went to Tech, so I get to hear it all the time in family arguments. But if you're a Tech fan, you're loving it, and you love the fact that now donors have had for a little bit. Obviously, they've tried to change the rules, the influence to bring in some stud athletes that maybe you weren't getting during the recruiting process. I think Jerry was going to have an impact there regardless. He's a great coach, so he was going to be able to draw some people even without NIL, but the NIL piece was huge for Jerry. He didn't have any at Louisiana. He wanted to go somewhere that was going to make the investment. He knows how to win, and he was able to do that by bringing in Nyjah, and then this year it's crazy to think they can be even stronger, but he's brought even more pieces in, and so all eyes are on Tech, and I don't know that there were a lot of people who thought we'd ever say that in softball, but it's been a cool experience to watch just because it's different, right? And while it's disrupting and upsetting a lot of people, it's still legal, and he's playing by the rules, and he's getting his kids in. And I think the key will be, does he have them together as a group to take the field and play? But he's doing a great thing. But if there's one thing Jerry Glasgow loves, he loves winning.
And he has seven players on the All Big 12 preseason team. Texas Tech, the clear-cut preseason favorite in the conference. With Nyjah Canaday back in the circle, Kat, what would you tell her? How would you advise her for this upcoming season with everything she did last year? And Jerry Glasgow was on our show and kind of shared with us that she battled through some injury stuff, like mid-season, where she wasn't throwing much at all in practice. What would you tell her, just big picture for this season?
Well, I think there's two things. Back when I played, I think it was my mom reminded me. She's like, you can try all you want to outdo what's in the past, but what's in the past is in the past. So if you keep trying to look back to it, you're forgetting to put in the work now and focus on what is the task at hand. And so, she had a great year last year. She made waves. She was able to obviously get the $1 million deal. All that's done with, and it's great, and it's on your resume. Now go continue to build your resume and just stay in the present. But I think the other piece is having to focus on what's important. It's if your body's breaking down, like what pieces can you sacrifice somewhere, whether it's social life or TV time to be in the training room more, all those things. I know my last 2 years, it was all about how can I stay as healthy as I can for the team. And it's really about, now you put the carrot of the national championship. How bad do you want it? And are you going to let every day kind of be defined by what do you need to do to win that, especially now that it's spring? I mean, the runway to that national championship is getting shorter and shorter day by day. But, she has the talent. So I would just tell her, stay in the present and continue to make that ring kind of the prize at the end.
Do you see similarities in pitching styles and schematics from a pitching perspective from when you pitched? I mean, how much has pitching evolved? How has it evolved since you pitched?
Yeah, so I think the biggest evolution since I threw is there's just more power pitchers. You see more pitchers throwing 65 plus, 68 plus. You got Carlin Pickens at Tennessee touching 72, 73, 75. And that was just unheard of. Monica Abbott threw, and I think she threw probably about 68, and that was the hardest thrower, period. Like, there weren't very many that were doing it. So it's evolved in that realm where speed is a lot more prevalent. And then the other piece I think is, back again when I played, is you can name pitchers and you can name their pitch that's like their dominant pitch. Monica threw a rise ball. I threw traditionally a drop ball. Like, everyone was known for one thing. Yeah. And a lot of pitchers nowadays, they're not necessarily known for that one pitch. They're known for speed, or they might be known for their changeup. But like, you don't traditionally say, oh, this person just like has such a great rise ball that's what they're known for. You have a handful, don't get me wrong, but not as drastic as we did when I played.
Yeah, that makes sense. There is some serious heat in this sport now. Kat, you also noted that Texas Tech is doing everything that's within the rules, but it's kind of rubbing some people the wrong way because of their spending. Well, that's kind of the same narrative that they had to battle during this most recent college football season with the way that they went out and attacked the portal. Can you put into perspective, like, are there other programs in the country spending on that same level? Is it just, do you think, fans or insiders being upset with it because it's new blood, like it's a new kind of underdog team? What can you share with us there?
I think it's both. I think it's someone else is doing it, so people get mad. But there is not a softball team spending at that level.
Okay.
No, there are not. I mean, I was kind of the liaison for Texas before the whole rev share thing, and so with their collective being nonprofit, still I was kind of the middle guy, and we had nothing close to anything of what Tech is spending to spend with the softball team, and so. I think that's the part that's kind of upsetting people, is that now there was no, I guess now there's supposed to be a limit with the rev share thing, but there was no limit. And so therefore, if you had the money, you could go buy whoever you wanted. And I think other people who have been in the industry for a long time, when you do recruiting, usually it's about the relationships, and now it's not necessarily about the relationships anymore. Especially with the athletes, it's about where can I go get my money and possibly play for a ring or whatever, entices you. But so the way recruiting has always been is shifting, and I think there's some people that are just getting upset with that because the relationships and culture is essentially define your program, and how do you keep that up when people can easily be, lack of a better term, bought away.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting, Kat, for Texas to be considered, quote unquote, underdog relative to Tech in that way, right?
Very much so.
So what is your in some ways, I would imagine the spending is good because it notates a level of popularity to the sport. On the other side, as you said, it's maybe taking away from the sport. Just give us kind of your overall opinion on the spending.
Yeah, I mean, I like that athletes are being able to get paid and something that they're worth. Do I think sometimes that, I know in Pro Bowl we're not paying people anything close to what NIL is paying at some of these schools. And so it gets skewed when you come back down to, okay, now I'm going to go play pro, and that money is just not there. Like so are we really paying athletes what they're worth? Or are we just paying what we think will get them over here enough to win? And so, I think there's some of that falls in, and I think that's in every sport, that there are athletes that would rather go back for their third, fourth year of school instead of going pro because they're getting more money with NIL. And to me, that's absolutely outrageous. Like, that shouldn't be how college sports are, but it's the nature of the game right now.
Yeah.
But I think, I think it's good, and I think if programs have donors that are willing to invest in softball, I think that's huge, because you don't always see a lot of big money donors coming around the softball fields. And so if you have it, I mean, props to you, and I'm glad you have donors that want to invest in your program, or alumni that are well off enough to do that.
What's the gap between, like, coming into this season between Texas Tech, and Oklahoma and everybody else?
Well, as I said at the beginning, I think, culture is still going to play a part. And Oklahoma obviously has done an amazing job of year in and year out, turning out, their championship mindset is their whole platform. And their athletes buy into it. You haven't seen a ton leave that play a lot. The ones that don't end up going find somewhere to play. But between them and Texas and Texas Tech, I mean, is there a gap? There's a little bit of a gap, but is it huge? Not necessarily. You still have to play the game. There's still All-Americans all the way across the country. It's not like those three teams dominated the All-American teams. And so I think on paper, obviously, Tech has the all-star lineup. Texas returns almost everyone. OU returns almost everyone. So there's a lot of big names there, but there is more parity in softball now than there ever has been. So I wouldn't say the gap is as wide as everyone thinks.
Anybody else in the Big 12 stand out to you? I mean, Oklahoma State has obviously had a lot of success in softball under Kenny Gajewski. Other than Tech, who else to look out for?
Yeah, I think you hit it. Oklahoma State's won because Kenny Gajewski's been able to have consistency there. I know last year was a little bit of a down year for them, but they have, a healthy pitching staff. He brought in some pieces that he thinks offensively are going to help. The one probably two I'm keeping an eye on are both the Arizona schools, Arizona and Arizona State. Caitlin Lowe and her staff bring back majority of their offense, and they led the Big 12 in offense last year, so that's a huge notch for them, and they revamped their pitching staff. So if their revamped pitching staff can be better than what they had last year, they could potentially make a run. And you have to remember there's a tradition there too of going to the World Series and winning national championships. So I know they're trying to get back to the standard of the A. And then Arizona State's kind of intriguing because they have Kinsey Brown in the circle, who is an All-American. It's her senior year. But they just go out and play. They're a fun team to just watch because you can tell that they're not, I don't want to say they're not serious. They're serious, but it's for some people it's work and some people it's fun. And you watch Arizona State, and I think when they go out and play, that they're just out there to have fun, and they can make some noise.
Kat Osterman, appreciate your time, Kat. Thank you so much. Be well. Take care.
Thanks, Kat.
Thank you guys for having me.
Kat Osterman, legendary Texas softball player, legendary American Olympian, one of the greats all time, joining us here on Big 12 Radio. Along with James Wesley, I'm Ari Tepkin. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, and it's sad that we finally reached the end, James, of our transfer portal season updates. We've gone from 16-1, and We hit Texas Tech next. This is Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio, and our Texas Tech portal season updates continue next. Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo on TuneIn and Big 12 Studios. Check out the top plays from this week's Big 12 women's basketball starting five.
And then coming down and being able to operate in the half court, that's what makes that important. When you're able to finish plays with rebounds and get stops, leads to high percentage Audie Crooks points in the paint. Of Texas Tech, really trying to pressure out on the perimeter, keeping Jada Williams uncomfortable, not allowing those easy looks into the paint. As you see just that overhead lob and Heba Nunez coming over from Malone and Bristow down the block. It was actually a really difficult angle to throw that pass. As you see bodies flying on the floor. I'm loving the hustle plays. Audie Crooks one-on-one in the paint to that left shoulder and the and one. As you take a look at that left hook, that's what Krista Gerlich is complaining about when Audie Crooks.
Tech has hit their last 4 shots to cut the lead down to 3. The lead was 9. Crooks, no.
And Audie Crooks is certainly counted, but you see Sanogo doing just enough to make her uncomfortable, gets her own rebound.
Uses that left arm to try to get room on Sanogo. Tough fall away. That is a pretty shot by Audie Crooks.
Audie Crooks turns around.
She has scored in a Big 12 game. Here's Audie Crooks again.
Well, and it's so good sometimes as a post.
Her 12 points ties her season high here at Tech. Coach is saying when she slows down and gets her feet set, can't stop her. Sanogo with a rejection. Her second. Crooks, count the basket and a foul.
That is so tough. And I mean, I understand Texas Tech, great job. But Crooks was so good with 3 people around her, getting her shot back not once, but twice, and continuing to just stick with it and finishing around the paint.
Big 12 today with James. I'm Ari. James Westling, Ari Temkin. It's Big 12 Radio. Heard on, tuned, and watched on Big 12 Studios. We are keeping football season alive.
What are you snacking on over there?
Some cashews. You know I love my cashews.
Honey roasted?
No. Please, untouched. Unfiltered, untouched.
Just raw.
You just got to live up. I mean, we've got the designs for sport protein that the Big 12 gave us a sampling of, and I'm like, I'm obsessed with everything now involved with that. And, you know, the cashews, you just got to get your protein, bro.
Have you done the hydration packs?
Oh, yeah. Done it all.
I'm stacking some sups myself. Discussion for another day.
Stacking some sups myself.
Yeah, I'm going all in.
Sups.
All in.
What's
Supplements, bro.
Sup.
You
Oh,
even
yeah.
Sups, bro?
I'm new into it.
Okay.
I'm new into it.
But I need...
What of it?
I can't just raw dog my cashews. I need a little flavor. A little seasoning, a little honey roasted, a little garlic, whatever the case
I think
may
these
be.
are like sea salt or something, so they're not completely raw dog.
Those are pretty raw. Like your salted cashews. That's as raw as it gets.
Well, I mean, the more flavor, the worse they get for you, buddy.
I know. I'm aware. So
sometimes you got to I'll tell you the one I can't is almonds. Another good one where it's like, I got to have something on there.
See, I'm the opposite. I can raw dog almonds.
How?
I don't know, man. Texture. Must be a texture thing.
Different taste buds. Different taste buds for different taste buds.
Yeah.
All right, we're keeping football season alive. That's what we're doing this offseason. We are keeping football season alive. 365, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all of the things. And so even though we are going to be done now with our transfer portal season updates, we've been updating you for the last 2 weeks, counting from 16 to 1, giving you the latest updates on each of these teams, what they've done in the portal, what they've done for their coaching staffs. We got to Texas Tech, but we'll just roll right into the next series. In fact, we're only a few weeks away from the NFL Draft Combine, the Senior Bowl, so we'll have a lot of draft updates to follow. So football season never sleeps on Big 12 today. And so today, it's Texas Tech time, the defending Big 12 champs. And, I mean, a team that will once again be projected at the top of the Big 12. And I think the big question here is, was 2025 a peak or the new baseline with Texas Tech? Is that the expectation? Are they the true alpha that you expect them to win the Big 12 every year and then compete in the playoff for a national championship? Or was last year the peak of Texas Tech, what they're able to do?
No, I don't think it was the peak. I mean, they're reloading in the portal. Now, their portal class, according to the composite from 24/7, which takes all the recruiting services and lumps it into one, they have Texas Tech's class as 9th in the country. Last year it was number 2, and it was number 1 for almost the entire year until LSU got a late ad. But with Texas Tech...
What was Indiana?
Top 30, barely.
25?
25,
yeah.
Thank you. I think the difference with this year is, they don't have as big of names, I would say, outside of Sorsby. I mean, remember last year, like David Bailey led the nation in sacks at Stanford. Everybody knew how good he was. Romello Height was an all-league, quarterback sacking machine. Everybody knew how good he was. Same thing with some of the receivers and just everybody that they brought in. This year, I would say that outside of Sorsby, they were more, maybe not even more, but just super selective in the way that they went after certain individuals from programs like Wake Forest and Miami, Ohio, and San Diego State and Oregon State and UTSA, which I can tell you that corner from UTSA is NFL ready today. Bryce Pollock was a guy that wasn't super highly recruited, and he turned into an all-league cornerback because they liked what they saw on film and what NFL scouts had to say about his pedigree. They've done the same thing this year with this class. The difference with this year's class is, number one, they don't bring as many transfers. I think they're listed at 21. Last year they had more than that, closer to 30. But that's because last year, remember, they didn't have a top 25 high school class.
Right.
This year they do. They've got some 5-star guys that are going to be guys that maybe they're not starters. I wouldn't expect that right away. But they're going to be depth pieces from the high school ranks. So bottom line is, it starts with Brendan Sorsby, and once again, it's a loaded retooling of Texas Tech.
Yeah, I mean, Felix Ojo's the guy along the offensive line that is, you expect maybe starts from day one, potentially as a true freshman. LaDamian Guide's the other from an edge rushing standpoint. So to your point, they're less reliant now on the portal as they've had an uptick in their recruiting. In the portal, obviously Sorsby is probably the most productive player they added. in terms of just overall production and play. Because that's what you have to look for, right, is the guys who have played and produced. Kenny Johnson, wide receiver from Pitt. He's been pretty consistent the last 2 years, averaging about 47 catches for around 600 yards and 3 to 5 touchdowns the last 2 seasons. Trey White, edge rusher from San Diego State. I think they think he could be this year's David Bailey. 7 sacks, 53 total tackles in 13 games last year for San Diego State. I think that's where Bailey was so good both as an edge rusher and against the run, and I think they feel like Trey White has some similar skills. Austin Romaine, linebacker is my biggest question mark because of Jacob Rodriguez being so good and how helpful he was at that second-level defense in terms of linebacker. Austin Romaine's been really good. Is he Jacob Rodriguez good? That's a huge question. And then the other wide receiver with a ton of production would be Deontay Lee, who they bring in from Liberty, wide receiver, had 22 for 589 and 5 touchdowns. So when you think about Kenny Johnson had 48 receptions for 659 last year, and Deontay Lee had 22, so half the amount of catches with about as much receiving production and 5 touchdowns. So this is a big-time playmaker down the field for Brendan Sorsby, something that he was probably lacking at Cincinnati to the degree that he's going to have it at Texas Tech.
Yeah, well, I would start with Austin Romaine and your comment about Jacob Rodriguez. Nobody is going to step in and beat Jacob Rodriguez. He was a linebacker that was doing things in college football last year that we had not seen at that position since Manti Te'o at Notre Dame back in the 2010s. Austin Romaine is about as close as you can get. Okay, Pro Football Focus had him as the #1 inside linebacker in the country going into last season. Last year, he only played in 9 games. He got hurt. He was in and out for Kansas State, and he still had 7 TFLs, which is the same number he had 2 years ago when he played in 13. He had an interception. He broke up a couple of passes. He had a forced fumble and recovery and almost 70 tackles. When he's healthy, he is an all-league linebacker and one of the best linebackers in the nation. He's also very similar to Jacob Rodriguez stylistically. I would say that the two things that drive those guys is, number one, just their instincts and their knack for the football, but number two, they both play with a chip on their shoulder because they were under-recruited. Jacob Rodriguez wasn't even looked at as a linebacker, went to Virginia as a quarterback. Austin Romaine grew up in a town of about 500 people in Hillsboro, Missouri, and was a 2-star recruit out of high school. K-State was his only power conference offer. So he's a guy that is very much going to fill in nicely. Will he be Rodriguez? Probably not, but I think he'll be pretty close.
The other one we haven't talked about is Mateen Ibarogba, who is a big name in the portal get because he was a 4-star transfer, but the production's not there, at least not yet. 21 total tackles, 7 solos, had 2 sacks and a forced fumble last year. So I think the feeling is he could become that, but when you're just looking at the overall production so far from these guys, I think Ibarogba has a lot of the measurables and the things you're looking for in terms of athleticism and abilities, but hasn't yet put it all together yet.
Yeah, and he was listed as like a top 5 defensive guy in the portal.
Yeah.
I mean, nationwide, a lot of programs wanted him. And again, with defensive tackles, like that's the one position you have to kind of throw the stats out the window because it's more about how many double teams do you take on, just your impact on kind of clogging the pocket for opposing quarterbacks and then stopping the run. You brought up receivers earlier, and outside of Sorsby, like, I know Texas Tech is going to find guys that can get after the quarterback on the defensive line. So all these dudes, the Trey White kid from San Diego State, the edge rusher that they brought in from Miami, Ohio, who was first-team All-MAC and had like 13 sacks, is another kid. But I went to the receivers because we know what Sorsby brings to the table because we've seen him in this league for 2 years. We know what the running backs bring to the table. The offensive line needs to be a little bit better. But I thought they lacked receivers that could create separation once they got into the postseason. The 2 matchups against BYU, even Arizona State. Like, they haven't had that game-breaking wide receiver. Jalen Jones is a kid I'm really excited about. He's only 5'8". He's 175 pounds. He has elite track sprinter speed and was an HBCU All-American at Alabama State last year and averaged 23 yards per catch, over 1,000 yards receiving. And then you brought up Kenny Johnson, who had almost 700 yards, 5 touchdowns in a Pitt offense that's pretty similar to Texas Tech in that they like to throw the football but still lean on the ground game from time to time. He had Eli Holstein throwing in the rock. he averaged almost 15 yards per catch. Dante Lee Jr., the receiver from Liberty, over 18 yards per catch. So with those three guys, like, they went and looked for vertical threats that can stretch a defense, which is what I thought they were missing last year.
Yeah. What about offensive line? Because I think their offensive line last year was good, not great. Their defensive line was great. Their linebacking core was great. They added Jordan Church from Louisville. I would assume they're going to at least look at Felix Ojo to start. They also add another true freshman who is a 4-star along the offensive line. I love that you point out wide receiver because I think there's a ton to like in terms of improvement at the wide receiver position, but what about offensive line?
Yeah, so Church is the big one. He's the transfer from Louisville who was a very productive player for a Louisville team that was ranked most of the year. So, like, he's a plug-and-play starter right away. 6'4", 310 pounds. He played in all 12 games for Louisville this past season. He also started at left guard and right guard, so you can kind of move him around. I do think Ojo is so dominant that he'll be a starting tackle. Whether it's the left or the right side remains to be seen. But we've seen a guy like Jordan Seaton come in as a true freshman and dominate. And he's that good. He's that type of guy. Then I'd look at, looks like they brought in Carson Carpenter, who is an offensive lineman for Tulsa and one of their better guys, multi-year starter, started over 10 games at tackle. So they've added a couple of pieces, but also they should be able to bring back Howard Sampson, who was only a junior last year. Cash Cleveland started games for them. Sheridan Wilson should be their center that's coming back. And then Jacob Ponton was a redshirt freshman that they were really high on last year that was kind of in and out of the rotation. So I think the offensive line is one area that they're relying more on the guys that were there last year than the portal.
Let me ask you, can their defense be as good?
No. I mean, they had a historic year. Right? Like, their defense can still be really good. They can be a top 5 defense in the nation and not be as good as they were last year. They led the country in rushing success rate allowed. They led the nation in sacks per possession, essentially, with David Bailey and Romello.
The highest stop rate for any team in the last, 2 decades.
Yeah. So, no, do I think that their defense can replicate that? I don't. But
so is their offense going to be good enough to overcome their defense not being historically great?
Yes, that's the difference for me. I think Sorsby is an upgrade at quarterback, which I felt like Baron Morton was more bothered by injuries than anything else last season. When he's healthy, he was fully capable of leading that team to a win in the college football playoff, but he wasn't. And I think his injuries were actually downplayed to how beat up he was throughout the course of the season. And then you lose Will Hammond, who maybe would have been the starter the rest of the year if he doesn't tear his ACL. Well, now you bring in Brendan Sorsby, who does a fantastic job of taking care of his body. The thing with Sorsby is sometimes he struggles with his confidence. Well, he's never had this type of talent around him ever. Like, even dating back to his high school playing days, even though he went to a big school here in Dallas, he didn't have anything close at Cincinnati. He's in a position to have a monster year. So, yes, offense can be better. Defense can still be really good.
And that's where, again, I know we're not talking about it yet, but it's hard for me not to have BYU as the favorite based on what they return versus Texas Tech and a lot of unknowns. And their defense will not be as good, but it doesn't probably need to be. Their offense will be improved. It should be, but there's still question marks for me about their offense, starting with Sorsby and their offensive line. Sorsby has been more productive, but he's going to need to take a huge jump. And we've seen the last 2 years he's fallen off a cliff at the end of the season, and it seems like the last 2 years for 2 different reasons. 2 years ago, it was like he just became a complete running quarterback, did not want to throw. And last year, it just kind of fell apart for them.
Well, and remember, he had the number 1 passing efficiency in the country through the first 10 weeks of the season. The last month, the last 2 years, has not gone well. But he threw for over 2,800 yards. He had 27 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. His quarterback rating is through the roof. But again, those numbers are skewed by the schedule and the fact that Cincinnati started 6-0 or 7-1 or something like that. I guess they lost to Nebraska in the opener and then won 6 or 7 in a row. But he's been through a lot. 2 years ago at Cincinnati, a lot of his downward trajectory, I feel like, was what he was going through off the field. His apartment got burglarized halfway through the season. They had to relocate him. He was in a rougher part of Cincinnati. And talking to some of his teammates, that can mess with a guy. And it wasn't just him. And his center, Gavin Gerhardt, said, yeah, I moved him into my complex, which was on another part of town. And, like,
right.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of layers to what's happened the last couple of years. And he's an NFL quarterback, or he wouldn't be on Texas Tech's roster. Like, they had the money to get anybody they wanted, and they chose him.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see. All right, let's check in with Chris Level, our friend from the Texas Tech Red Raider Radio Network. That's next. We'll get his thoughts on the additions in the portal and how much better or worse this team might be. Chris Level is next with James. I'm Ari. It's Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios, and presented by Modelo.
Check out the top plays from Big 12 men's basketball starting five.
35% from three-point range for the bulk of this season.
And Tad Boyle said he's the X factor. When Ronsing plays well, Colorado typically plays well.
Oh, that's a nice little maneuver. Looks for help and gets it. Another one from downtown. Lipsy. Some freebies, and they're going to need to make them. But I don't know if it's...
Both him and Johnson, 6 feet, but incredibly efficient scorers.
There's a beautiful move. 47-27, Cyclones by 20. At this stage, if we could just get it to maybe 14, by the break. Well, that was a discard. Trying to induce the foul with the flop. It's another team that can play really tough and show some added depth in the league. One of those teams that we saw in the Crown last year that, of course, Nebraska won. And they carried that same streak right into the Big Ten season. I see more Final Four potential within the depth of the Big 12 conference. So many outstanding teams. Colorado went to sleep on that inbounds.
Here's Lipsy, stop and pop in transition, buries the three.
But a score, he's creative with his finishes. Either hand, either foot.
Well, the way Iowa State's defending him in the half court, he's probably saying, forget about that. I don't want any half court offense. Give me buckets in transition. Lipsy goes right at Castillo and banks it in.
He's so physical.
Big 12 Radio, it's Big 12 Today, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. Along with James Wesley, I am Ari Tepkin. This is Big 12 Today, and we are so excited to be joined right now by our friend Chris Level from the Texas Tech Red Raider Radio Network. Lockdown Red Raiders. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. How about you, fine gentlemen?
Doing very well.
Fantastic.
You know, I was thinking during the Kansas-Texas Tech game the other night that Tech basketball's come a long way since the days of Daryl Dora, you know what I mean?
Hey, he did beat Kansas a couple times. Yeah.
But, if you know, you know, you know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now Darren Peterson is joined that same club on the opposite side of it. But no, yeah, I mean, Big 12 hoops, man. It's just like what a pleasure it is to be in this league, and just the gauntlet that is, and it's just very entertaining. I mean, Texas Tech has just hosted 3 straight home games with 3 top 5 players that are all freshmen. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, in order: Debansa, Flemings, and then Peterson. I mean, it's awesome. Anyway, and I'm sorry for the Kansas State fans out there dealing with what they're dealing with. Sorry, James, but
everything's
anyway,
fine. Everything's fine.
We digress.
Everything's fine.
How's Christian doing? And do you expect that he won't miss any more time?
I was talking to Taman before we came on. I was like, I kind of thought we'd go into this game with Kansas with all the drama. You guys are well aware, and yet it was Texas Tech with the drama. I mean, I was at shoot around earlier in the day, just never really noticed anything. He has been beat up. He got hit pretty hard against UCF, but I just thought that's not who this kid is. He just doesn't miss. He doesn't come off the floor, and he's not out there in warm-ups. I'm like, what's going on? And so about half an hour, it's like, hey, we may have a problem. I'm like, I think you have a serious problem. He's involved in everything you do. He's been playing 40 minutes a night, and it just doesn't. You just don't think anything of it. That's just who the kid is. But I was actually, if you tell me that the morning of, I'm like, you have zero shot, just because he is directly involved in everything you're doing, and he's so good at it. But I think he'll be okay. That would be the hope. But Texas Tech doesn't play again till Super Bowl Sunday. So when you guys are watching the Patriots and the Seahawks, and I know y'all are big Bad Bunny enthusiasts, y'all have to let me know how it goes, because I'll be on a plane coming home from Morgantown.
Chris, we're doing our transfer portal tracker series. We're at the top of the Big 12. We've started from 16, gone to 1, and Texas Tech. We know about Brendan Sorsby. Outside of Sorsby, though, what position group or who are some guys that we need to know about transferring to Texas Tech?
Yeah, and it's well documented that this is a program that's gonna be active in the portal. That this is just where they feel like they can level the playing field with, and trying to push through and maintain at the top. The Sorsby thing is funny because you in no way felt like you were going to go be involved at this position and needing a quarterback until Will Hammond went hurt, and then it's like, we may have a problem. Which you have to adjust every budget, your kind of plan, all of it around that, and then, So anyway, that was an interesting one, but they got the guy that they wanted. They brought him back to Texas, and I think he wanted to come back to Texas. But other than that, it's front seven. That's what you're looking to try to replace, and what won't be made enough of with Texas Tech's team this offseason is there's a few, like, you have to go look at what they added in the portal last year, and look at who they still have from that portal class. Bryce Pollock is an all-conference guy. Terrence Carter at tight end is an all-conference guy. Howard Sampson will probably be a left tackle that'll be an all-conference guy. A.J. Holmes, who was just kind of this throw-in, he was an All-American at defensive tackle. He's still here. So they add all these guys into the nucleus, and then they've been recruiting at a very high level. But your defensive ends, and I know you guys have talked about that. Trey White, Adam Trick, these are handpicked guys that James Blanchard wanted. Mateen and Bryce Butler from University of Washington, and Mateen from Wake Forest. These are D tackles that you'll add to A.J. Holmes, and then trying to replace, Jacob Rodriguez, which is impossible. But I just don't know if you were going to find a better fit,
right,
for what you were looking for than Austin Romaine. And I think analytically, there's some that would say he could be a better player than Jacob. I find that hard to believe, because what you can't replace with Jacob is kind of the culture, the heart, the fit, all that stuff. And so, but yeah, they have a top portal class. We're a top 5 portal class, and you have a lot back. And yeah, there should be some very high expectations for this team.
Yeah, I think obviously Texas Tech should be the favorite, but I also think BYU should, based on what they bring back versus Tech and what they lose. Help me how have you gone about evaluating how good this team is from a roster standpoint? Because, I don't know that there's any way that they can get to that defensive level, because that was a historically great defense, but it feels like the offense has improved. So just I guess, Chris, give us your sense here of improvements overall. Where are they better? Where are they worse? What's your biggest, question marks?
Yeah, well, it's funny because, you're not alone in, there's just no way that defense could be as good. Okay, well, maybe you just win games by 15 points a game instead of 20.
Right.
I don't know.
And they don't need the defense to be that good. It's important to know, that was a historically great defense.
Yeah. But I think the offense could be, and again, it's crazy because your offense statistically, it was a top 10 offense in the country. Points scored, yards per game, all that stuff. There were some red zone issues. Those were well documented. I talked to you guys about those. I think you could actually be quite a bit better on offense. And what I mean by that is it may not even show up in your points per game and all that. You are going to be in a position to lean on teams and smash them, because there's 2 guys that were part of the portal class last year that were topped at their position that never played it down, that are both back. Hunter Zambrano was one of the top offensive linemen in the portal rankings last year. He didn't play it down because he had some injury issue, and then there was time in the middle of the year, and they're like, you know what? Let's shut you down. Let's redshirt. You interested? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And then Quentin Joyner was going to be the starter at running back, and he was better than Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams. Well, all Cam Dickey did was go for over 1,000 yards, and Jacoby Williams proved to be one of the most explosive players in the league, and I think the country. And Quentin Joyner is now back. So now you can put Jacoby Williams in the slot. You can use him like Malachi Toney with what Miami was doing, and just move him around. He's an elite returner, but they didn't really put him there until the very end of the season because they're trying to protect him, because they just had 2 guys. If Quentin Joyner comes back at any kind of level that he was at, because he was a transfer from USC, now you've just, and the most dramatic change with their team is Brendan Sorsby. And why is that? It's because he can run the football. When your quarterback has a running component to them, it makes you very, very difficult to defend. And he did it to the tune of 600 yards and 9 touchdowns?
Yeah.
So that is the, and again, Terrence Carter's back. Basically, your entire offensive line is back. Both tackles, your starting center. You're gonna, Hunter Zambrano, who I've just talked about, and then they brought in a guy named Josh Church from Louisville, who was late to get in the portal. He was rated as one of the top run blockers out there, and he'll immediately come in at 6'4", 335. And so I just think they're going to be looking to smash people, and it'll be a play action situation where they've added some speed at receiver, but I think it'll look a little bit different, and they'll be able to lean on teams a bit, and that's what Joey wants to do. He wants to play defense, and he wants to smash and run the football. As he says, big people beat up little people.
Well, when you look at the receivers, that's what stood out to me. All of the guys that they brought in were 15 to 25 yards per catch. It looks like they've added speed and verticality.
Yeah, I think depending on who you listen to, your receiver spot. Reggie Virgil and Caleb Douglas and Koye, they were good, okay, but I don't know if it reached the level of potential that maybe there was some plays left out there. Maybe they didn't separate as much as they wanted. So I don't know if like there's a I'm not trying to be mean. If there's like, okay, how are we going to replace those guys? That wasn't the thought. And so Kenny Johnson was always thought to be like the number one at Pitt. He ended up being kind of more of a number two, but he can flat out run. He's an elite returner as well. And I think that people will start to learn about Micah Hudson now. It's now his time. I think he's a junior all of a sudden. I think that and then you guys, I know you guys mentioned Jalen Jones and Dante Lee that can flat out run. James Blanchard would tell you that Kenny Johnson and Dante Lee will be drafted next year just solely based on the fact that that they can run and they'll trigger a time and they've got measurables to go with it. So, I've heard some and it's fair. I've heard some criticism about Brendan Sorsby and the way he's finished seasons. And again, the wins and the losses it is what it is. I just don't know if he'll have ever played with a group like he's about to play with on either side of the ball, actually. So, but I don't disagree with your premise in that I think Texas Tech and BYU can be talked about in a similar category on pick your favorite flavor of ice cream if you want to think these guys should be the favorites, whatever. But I think there's a pretty clear pecking order. Then it's those two, and then you can get into the next tier. Doesn't mean it will stay that way. Sports are funny that way,
right?
But I think coming into this, there's just not a lot of questions on this team. But can you replace David Bailey?
No.
I mean, I don't know if that's possible.
Right.
I think Adam Trick and Trey White, maybe they're like 8.5s, whereas like David Bailey and Romello Height were 10s.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that. Again, that goes back to, okay, maybe you're just winning games by 13 or 14 points instead of by 20. I mean, I don't know. There's levels to this, but you should be really good on defense again.
All right, offensive line. Is there an expectation that Felix Ojo can start right away? And who? No. Okay.
Yeah.
Who are your five?
Yeah, he may have that expectation, but that's not reality. They wanted to add one piece. They wanted to add an interior lineman. I called him Josh a while ago. It's actually Jordan Church. Sorry, There's all these new names we're learning. So, but I think they felt like Hunter Zambrano was like a portal addition this year, right? He's been in the program, and again, he was one of the top portal guys in the entire country last year at offensive line, and they wanted to get bigger and more physical. I think that they feel like that their tackles will inherently just be better than they were a year ago from a year into the system and a full off season and all those kinds of things. And then Sheridan Wilson, on three we're listed the top 100 players in the country coming into next year. And Sheridan Wilson, their center, who's kind of this glue guy, he was listed in that group. So and he's back. He will be a 3-year starter. So there's a lot of experience, a lot of snaps, all that with the offensive line. And they added a kid named Jet Carpenter from Nevada that was graded out as the top run blocking tight end. To replace John Carlos Miller, and he'll be next to Terrence Carter. That's what I'm saying. You're just really built to really smash people. I mean, if you want to, and then use the play action to kind of throw it over the top with some of these speed guys. So they will have a lot of answers on offense if Brendan Sorsby stays healthy. But that's the name of the game. I just love the way the kid's wired, and he's a Texan, and I think that's what Joey was big on. And Mac Leftwich's dad actually was part of a staff that coached him in high school, so there was some connection there.
Chris Level, always fun to chop it up with you, Chris. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Hope is alive, boys. And we'll talk to you next time. And congrats to Ari with Darren Peterson, hitting the 3-point shots. Man, it's the way. That's, as Ron Washington used to say, the manager of the Texas Rangers. That's the way baseball goes.
That's the way baseball go.
Yeah, that's right. See you, boys.
See you, bud. So much good going out of Texas Tech athletics. You think about softball, like that's the front of the class. It's softball, baseball. I mean, baseball had a down year last year for Tech, but Tim Tadlock and that baseball team have always been good. Basketball and football. Women's basketball right now is
both basketball teams rolling.
So it's a good time to be a Red Raider.
Very much so. I mean, they've had a huge injection in support into athletics, and it's not just one sport, it's across the board, and they're spending like all the other power programs in large conferences. They're not doing anything that's unique or different. It's just the fact that it's a different new school in this new era that rubs people the wrong way, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and you could tell there was some disdain from Kat Osterman, and we talked with her about what Texas Tech is doing in terms of spending. But there's just an irony there from a Texas athlete that's like upset with Texas Tech spending.
You know, and it was great insight, though, that you have that rivalry between Texas and Texas Tech that has, even without playing each other, totally blossomed and just taken off with all the success and the rise that we've seen out in Lubbock. Isn't that a game you'd love to see somehow, some way in a college football playoff or in an NCAA tournament?
Yeah, and we saw it in softball. Remember last year, Texas beat Texas Tech. Love to see that again this year. All right, that's James. I'm Ari. This is Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. Check out the top plays from the Big 12 men's basketball starting five.
Fulks hesitation and the spin. What a finish by Themis Fulks. Good recovery by the Sun Devils.
I thought maybe we used to have a lot of contact on that finish off.
Fulks gets to the 10 and lays it in. Yeah, maybe just a subtle push from behind there. Chance to make it a one-possession game. Fulks spins, elevates, and gets a friendly bounce.
That's what they do so well.
Ken Palm has Texas Tech as the number 8 offense in terms of efficiency, but right now they're 1 for 4 three-point shooters. Just one of the many talents of number 4 in red. But Fulks with a blow-by, he's got 4. He's now 10 points shy of 1,000 in his career. Chris Johnson out to Fulks, high off the glass, and Themis Fulks.
Houston game, but they need his scoring, especially in a game like this.
UCF with the ball and a 4-point lead. Now make it a 6-point lead.
If you're just keeping the rock and going coast to coast.
Fulks turns the corner with the left hand. Fulks takes it himself from the left side. Grant McCaslin says, I have 100% trust in him. He makes all the right plays all the time. But Fulks has an answer himself. This game has really slowed down offensively. What a drive from Themis Fulks.
Big 12 Radio, Big 12 Today. With James Westling, I'm Ari Tepkin. We're excited to be joined right now by Rachel Becker, former Oklahoma State Cowgirl softball player. And now with the Athletes Unlimited Sports League with professional softball and the Utah Talons. So super excited to talk with Rachel about that. We had Kat Osterman on earlier, so this has been a great double dip of Big 12 softball along with the AUSL. How are you, Rachel?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. Excited to talk a little bit more about softball, and season's kicking off this weekend, so can't wait.
Yeah, it's interesting because we watched you as part of the Big 12 play in the College World Series, and Oklahoma State under Kenny Gajewski's been one of the powers in this conference. So when Oklahoma and Texas left, it's like, well, at least Oklahoma State's still there, and then here comes Texas Tech. It's sort of an interesting dynamic because obviously Arizona historically has been a great a softball power. Kenny Gajewski has really helped to build Oklahoma State into a power, and now Texas Tech with what they've done. I mean, the Big 12, it doesn't seem like has taken much of a step back in terms of softball.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, everyone, I think, seeing Texas and OU leaving, were like, oh, great, the SEC, obviously the number one for the softball conference, and maybe it still is, just because I think the SEC has a little bit more of the competitiveness throughout the entire conference, but Texas Tech loading up with Nigeri Kennedy and some of these amazing transfers that they brought in, they're going to be, again, I think, have an outstanding year. And we saw them go to the final game last year. And then Oklahoma State obviously has had a great reputation over the years. And then, like you said, Arizona was such a good softball history and culture there. Arizona State, another great softball school. It just shows that the Big 12 keeps getting better as well alongside the SEC.
Yeah, and it almost felt like as soon as the College World Series was over, Texas Tech was already in the portal and players were announcing that they were committing or visiting or one or the other. So with that said, what's the number one name that softball fans need to be aware of that Texas Tech brought in this offseason?
That's a really good question because they actually brought in 3 All-Americans this season, which is crazy. I feel like most teams try to get, one high-profile All-American transfer, but Texas Tech brought in Taylor Pannell from Tennessee, Mia Williams from Florida, Jasmine Burns from Ohio State. But I think the most key addition to their roster is going to be Caitlin Terry from UCLA, who is a left-handed pitcher, and she's going to complement Nigeri Kennedy so well in the circle and just give them more depth in the pitching circle. Because last year we saw whenever Nigeri Kennedy was in the circle pitching, Texas Tech was going to compete and have a chance to win every single game. But their number 2, 3, 4 pitchers not necessarily holding teams down run-wise, and so that's when offenses could catch up and get some wins for Texas Tech. But now that they have 2 dominant arms in the circle, I think they're going to be insanely good this year.
Yeah, I'm curious. So you spent 4 years at Purdue. We're an incredible player at Purdue, and then going to Oklahoma State for your last year and having the success there. Like, what attracted you to Oklahoma State and Kenny Gajewski in that program?
Yeah, for me, Oklahoma State was, I just watched them on TV at the World Series and the Super Regional that they competed in 2022, which I don't know if you guys remember, but they had a great run in the World Series and then ended up losing kind of a heartbreaker to Texas at the last second.
Yes.
But I just love their competitiveness and the energy that I saw from them on the screen. And, going to Oklahoma State and going on my visit with Coach G, I just felt that the energy and the momentum was there for the Cowgirls. And I knew that they were bringing back so many amazing players. I mean, we had Kelly Maxwell, Lexi Kilfoyle coming in from Alabama, Kylie Naomi, All-American shortstop, Cheyenne Factor, center field, just big names in softball, amazing players. And I think the culture at Oklahoma State was that the expectation was to get to the World Series. So all of that combined really just made me want to play for Coach G and that team.
By the way, James, Purdue, an elite engineering school, and Rachel got a degree in chemical engineering from Purdue before transferring to Oklahoma State. What do you know about chemical engineering, James?
So many things. My future brother-in-law also went to Purdue, engineering major. Pretty sure he works for the government or the CIA. He won't tell me much about his job. So you're a little bit more transparent when it comes to your career path.
Well, unless she is working for the CIA, you don't know.
Unless, I mean, is there
You'll never know.
The floor is yours if you'd like to share. Who could be like some sleeper teams in the Big 12 this year? Teams that you think will finish above either where they're slotted in the preseason or better than what they did last year?
It's a great question. I think for me, a big sleeper team that I'm keeping my eye on is UCF. They play a really tough schedule, and they're bringing back some of their key returners in the infield. And also, they have proven pitching. Isabella Vega was a freshman star for UCF last year, and she's coming back with a lot of other pitchers behind her. They have a ton of depth, and also them bringing in a big freshman class helps out a lot. And then my other one would probably be BYU, just because they have some of their good stars coming back. Elovea Brittingham, freshman All-American last year, coming back. Their pitching is coming back. They also have some really good newcomers coming in as well. So those are my two that we usually see fall in the middle of the pack a little bit. But I could see them rising up to the first third or so, I guess, if all the pieces come together well for them.
Who are some of the stars that you're looking forward to seeing beyond, obviously, the players you've talked about with Texas Tech?
Yeah. I think for me, it's hard to not mention their transfers coming in, like Mia Williams and Taylor Panel from Tennessee. Jasmine Burns, who hit, I think, 25 home runs last year. She's going to be huge. But also Maya Davis from Texas Tech, a senior this year. She was a starter last year in the outfield, was one of their biggest bats. And then Lauren Allred, another player from Texas Tech who has just been steady for them. And I think we'll continue to see in the starting lineup and just continue to make a huge impact for their team this year.
Rachel, when it comes to, national championship contenders, it feels like it's Texas and Texas Tech and Oklahoma getting all the love here in the preseason. Is it them and everybody else, or how even is it compared to like college football or college basketball, just at the top nationally?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I really do think that there are going to be some teams in the Big 12 who will compete very well at the top there, like Arizona. I think another great team who has postseason experience that can compete with, the Texas Tech, the Texas, the OUs. I know, like, the SEC, I'm really interested to see how that plays out for them this year. They always have some solid teams like Florida, Arkansas, I know, with a really good team this year. They brought in some solid newcomers. So I do think that it's easy to look at the layout before the season starts and be like, oh yeah, Texas bringing back a lot of their stars from last year. They're always super athletic. And Texas Tech, with the roster that they've assembled, going to be really hard to beat. But you honestly never know how things are going to shake out. And I think we're going to see a lot of young players on a lot of these top teams coming in and making an impact. And honestly, some of these freshmen come in with no expectations and then they just play lights out and have a great year. So I think that those top teams are going to be very, very hard to beat. But I think it's doable, and I hope it's a very competitive season throughout all of the softball.
Rachel, what else will you be doing in terms of coverage for college softball? Obviously, we know you're playing professionally, but what else are you going to be doing from a coverage standpoint?
From a coverage standpoint, I'll just be covering the Oklahoma State home games this year.
Nice.
That's kind of my main job right now. I just did the Big 12 media show last week, which was a ton of fun, and first time that the Big 12 put that on, and that was super awesome. We got to talk to all the coaches and teams, and then probably looking at the Big 12 tournament at the end of the season. So that will be the main ways for me.
Awesome. Rachel Becker, appreciate your time, Rachel. Thank you so much. Be well.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Rachel Becker joining us here on Big 12 Radio, Big 12 Today, in advance of the start of the softball season. Texas Tech, one of the favorites to win a national championship this year, after losing in the final game to Texas in what was an elite series, and they've restocked, which has really ticked off the softball world at large.
Which is something I learned today, right? Like, this is new information, just how the rest of the softball nation has viewed their approach. I mean, they've brought in 3 All-American transfers. Like, last year it was Kennedy and everybody else, right? She had to pitch night in and night out. Now they've got a number 2 who's one of the best pitchers in the country. And then they add some bats, like the power that they've got behind the plate with Jasmine Burns, the catcher who cranked over 20 home runs last year, bringing in Williams, who's got like elite speed. It's hard to find weaknesses for this season.
All right, we've got 4 basketball games tonight. We'll talk about those games on tomorrow's show. You see any upsets tonight?
The only one that potentially I could see would be Oklahoma State taking down BYU. But again, I just think matchup-wise, I don't know that Oklahoma State has anybody on the floor that can guard A.J. DiBonsa. A.J. DiBonsa has struggled against bigger, stronger defenders. Oklahoma State is a smaller, quicker basketball team who has struggled as of late on the defensive end of the floor. I think he goes bananas tonight. I still believe it's going to be a close game, but it's going to be tough for Oklahoma State to pull that off.
Yeah. Also, yesterday, the college football playoff officially announced dates for future college football playoffs.
People are losing their minds.
The 2026 national quarterfinals will kick off on Wednesday, December 30th at the Fiesta Bowl. Then the Cotton, Peach, and Rose will be held on Friday, January 1st. So no New Year's Eve quarterfinals. The semifinals will be the Orange Bowl on January 14th and the Sugar Bowl for January 15th. Which, by the way, what's the Orange Bowl getting everything, basically? It feels like the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl get everything, but I digress. And then the national championship in 2027, which will be for the 2026 season, will be in Vegas.
Very confusing.
On January 25th.
Yeah. A week later than it was this past season.
So this past season, it was like, well, it's too late. It needs to be earlier. And they're like, yeah, we see you, and we'll go January 25th.
Hold my beer. I want football New Year's Eve, man. That night, that New Year's Eve night.
I'm fine with it on Wednesday and Friday. I have more of an issue with the January 25th stuff. And I think the next year in 2028 for the 2027 season, it'll be like later. January 28th.
Yeah, we got to talk more about this tomorrow. It's wild.
Wild.
The calendar's going backwards.
Yeah. Or forwards. Either one. You got it. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Thank you to Anthony Smith, our great producer with Big 12 Studios. Thanks to Tammy Turner. T-Chains, our producer here with Big 12 Radio on TuneIn. Thanks to James Westling and that beautiful smile. I'm Ari Tepkin. This has been Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. We're back tomorrow, but for now, we're out. Peace.